let's engage with some debates right here. So, you
Let's
crazy
do
bro,
it.
what's your what debate proposition do you have, Mister?
That the Jews ruin everything for everybody.
Yeah, okay, we all agree. So, you got something else?
Um, okay, dude, this guy's just gonna laugh at everything I do. It seems like, even though it's like not even funny.
He's
I
just
don't
in a
know.
jolly mood. Okay, let him be
Yeah,
jolly.
yeah, I'll let him be jolly, bro. Sounds good. Sounds like a retard, honestly. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, we can also debate on mass immigration. You guys want to talk about that?
Yeah, everybody probably agrees about that too. You got like
You
anything that
sure?
we're gonna disagree about?
Oh, so I mean, do you have anything? Since you want to act like a smartass over here,
You're an evolutionist.
I am.
Look, we can start there.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you
So,
want
do
to
you have
give me the first? Okay, go ahead.
do you have ration? Are you rational? Do you have rational capacity?
Yes, I
You know what
do.
that means?
Rational capacity, just by the word definition, being rational or being very understanding and having a rationale behind things, and then
No,
capacity,
no,
having an amount of that.
we're not talking
I'm just
about
breaking down.
colloquial.
I'm breaking down the word, dude. That's all I'm doing, man.
You're giving me
So
colloquial. We're not talking about colloquial here. We're talking about
okay,
the straight up
okay. Well,
proper definition.
Yeah, what is it then?
Capable of reason, that is to say, capable of conceiving of abstractions, universals, and self-existent concepts.
Yeah, I would
That's
say
the real
so.
definition. So that applies to you.
Yeah, I would say so.
So where does you got to derive your rational capacity?
How do you want me to answer this question?
Did your mind come about? Did your mind come about through an irrational process?
Did my mind come about through? Well, not really. No, not necessarily. I mean, everything I think of and everything I believe in comes from rationale. So, not really.
No, you're not the first being to exist. I mean, where did you get your rational capacity from?
My ancestors. Is that what you
Okay, where did
want?
they get it from? You see how this is where this is going? So how did rational capacity come about?
What answer are you looking for? I'm so
You
fucking
need to derive
confused.
your rational capacity. You need to derive a function, a mechanistic process by
Dude,
which,
what the fuck are we talking about? What is actually going
because
on?
we know based on science like that we haven't seen a single animal increase their intelligence by even 1% anywhere. So
Okay.
this function of this increase being possible it just doesn't exist. So you have to
Did I?
explain. You need to
Yeah, did
prove
I?
empirically how you can go from irrational animals to there being a rational
Oh,
being.
so are we all irrational then? Is that what you're saying?
He's actually saying the
Oh, no,
opposite.
no, we're not. We're
Okay.
not irrational. We were made by a rational being called God. Who gave us
Okay.
rational capacity. That's the only actual correct answer. But if you don't,
Okay.
if you pretend to not believe that,
Okay.
then you
Great.
need to
No,
come
I
up
mean, I
with some
believe you, dude.
alternative
No, I
mechanistic
believe
process by
you.
which.
I believe you, dude. Great. Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
I
what do
believe
you
that
mean?
God gave that to us. Yeah, for sure.
Do you believe you can be a Christian or believe in God and evolution at the
Sorry,
same time?
what's your country of origin there?
Me?
What, me?
You talking
No
about
Bravo
Jack?
here.
I'm United States. Where you guys
You're
from?
Native American?
Native
He's
American?
he's not native. He's not native.
So state your
No, no,
country
no.
of origin.
Your ethnicity. Your ethnicity.
Oh, I'm black.
Yeah. Okay. What? Which one?
It doesn't
American.
really matter to me which
It
one.
doesn't matter to me. I mean, I don't
Okay.
really.
All right, bro.
I'm American. I was born in
Jesus.
America. I don't really
What the
look back
fuck?
at that type of thing. I don't
You're
think
like,
that's
I don't
that
give a
important.
fuck what country you're
Yeah.
from. I just know you're a nigga.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't really care too much about that. Oh, they kicked me out. Uh-oh. It must be whites only. Should you believe?
Read out my fucking username? Can't read out 3 letters? Are you genuinely
GPT.
serious?
Yeah, I said GPT.
Look,
That's
you're
your
a shameful
username.
you're a shameful character. You're really a waste of space.
I think GPT doesn't know
And
his
it's
own
actually
username
very
at this
embarrassing you're
point. I
still
think
here,
he's so
still
confused he doesn't know
gibbering
his
in
own
my ears.
username.
But look,
I think
GPT,
with any theists or atheists in the VC,
GPT, I just have to ask you one fucking question. Who hurt you?
Like, it's clear he's confused because, like, I
You're still-
even spell
if
out
I'm
his name,
confused,
and he
why
still
are you
says
still
you're spelling my
gibbering?
name wrong. You're
What does
spelling
this
my name
talk about? I'm
wrong. Like,
confused.
I think
Yeah,
he's.
who-
I think he's
Even if you're
confused
saying
about
it's
something.
true, you're just wasting your damn time because
Who
I'm actually trying
hurt
to
you?
debate someone.
Who hurt you?
And it's clear that like he cannot control himself because every single time somebody else talks, he just has to blabber over everyone else.
Well,
and
he's
then
afraid that
debate
he's
someone.
afraid
You're
that
just talking
Here he
about
does it
matter.
again, right?
When
Like
there's
this, he's
matter.
proving my point that
You want to
as he
debate
keeps
someone.
talking, he proves my
But
point that
Jack
he cannot
Bravo,
control
you a
himself.
theist
He's
or
just
an
a
atheist?
spastic little child.
You said what's up?
He's
I
terrified
heard
to learn
somebody
that he's
ask.
irrelevant.
Somebody said something to Jack Bravo. What's up?
Yeah, are you a theist or an atheist?
I'm a theist.
Do you have any good reason to believe a God exists?
Yeah. It's
what's the good
rationality and the
reason?
laws of logic. There's no reason for the laws
Yeah,
of logic, and there's no justification for the laws of logic if there's not a
That's
creator.
bullshit. Actually, there is.
To be
There's
clear,
plenty
the
of
first few
reasons.
things are just nouns, so they just couldn't be good reasons. But secondly, yeah, that also isn't
Wait,
truth.
wait. You
I need a
don't skip
statement.
past that. You said what now?
So
I
there's
said
plenty
the
of
things you
reason to
just
believe.
mentioned are nouns. They can't be truth apt. Nouns can't be truth apt. Do you disagree with that?
No, you gotta restate that because that's not what I said. So I said the
Yeah,
laws of logic.
you just said logic and rationality. You said logic and rationality, both things that are nouns. You can search up is rationality a noun? You come up with saying yes. It's literally a noun. It picks out something that should note something.
What does
Right,
that have
so
to
it would
do
be a
with
noun,
anything?
and those things aren't
What,
truth
that
apt.
has nothing to do
To
with
clarify,
the
clarify
Hold
before
on,
you
hold
start
on a
screaming and
second.
shouting,
So
the reason why it's
because-
relevant is because
you just trying to talk
good
over me.
reasons are just statements that you take to be true.
He does it
that
all the
if
time,
true, would increase the
Jack.
probability
He
of God
just talks
existing.
over everyone
But
like
these
whenever
things
he
But
can't
that
be
feels
was one of
true
the
or
speaks
false.
dumbest
first.
things you
That's
could
why
ever
it's
say.
incredibly relevant.
That's his rationality is that a noun is
What do
something.
you think
That's
I
not a
said?
good reason.
I didn't say that either. What do you think I just said?
Well, I don't know what you said because you were blabbing a lot of words and not making any sense.
It's because you're talking over me. I'll clarify
Well,
what I
you
said.
started
What
talking
I
over me,
said-
actually. I was trying to respond and get some clarification, and you just started talking, and
So
you
just
said,
wasted, you just wasted 10
because
seconds not
logic is
letting
a
me explain
noun.
it to
That
you.
doesn't make any sense.
Now it's 15 seconds. Now it's
Hey,
been 18 seconds.
GPT,
But what I could have said in those 18
GPT,
seconds
this is
was
why
that
Dad.
the reason why it's
this is
relevant
why
is
Daddy
nouns
hits
because
mommy.
nouns aren't truth apt and good
This is why your
reasons.
daddy hit your mommy.
Collectively turn
and
down
good
You
the
can tell
reasons.
this dude read
This is
one page
literally
and thinks
why-
he's intelligent.
And
Keep,
good
continue,
reasons.
keep
This is
going.
Yeah.
why
Keep
mom-
going,
Good
sir.
This
reasons.
is why mommy
And good
drinks and why
reasons.
Daddy hits mommy.
And good reasons.
He's still
for the
talking
fifth
as
time
if
from
somebody's listening
20-year-olds
to that
can't stop talking.
incoherent babble.
Because the
No,
20-year-olds
I
can't
turned him
stop
down
talking.
because like he cannot control himself.
I gotta
at
get
the
there
same
on
time.
time.
Like he
Well,
overtalks all the fucking time as
here's
well.
the better reason for God. And here's what I would say to a lot of like atheists and agnostics. They have no purpose, not only when it comes to life, but when it comes to morality. That's my biggest argument. And when when I say morality,
discount
what I'm
both of those.
talking about is they have no justification for why anything is wrong or right. And when it comes down to it, it's always going to be their preference. And you
Sure
can
we do.
Hang on, but atheism doesn't deal with morals. You're doing a category error there.
exactly. That's why they have,
also-
and that's one of my biggest
also-
No, but
arguments.
Jack,
ahead.
Jack, that's not argument in favor of
evolution
theism.
defines.
It is-
Evolution
it
is what
is.
is
It
what
is
is
an
the
argument. I'll
ground for
explain why.
morality.
I'll explain why. Because everyone believes they're doing something
Evolution
for a
is-
purpose. Even our debate
Ev-
here, you would not be here if you didn't think you were debating something right or wrong, and it ultimately had
Evolution
some
is-
moral value.
Yeah, but again,
Evolution is-
Jack, you're doing a category error. That has nothing to do with my atheism. It has to do with like a separate moral system. Like moral systems can be separate from atheism or theism.
I disagree.
Theism, for
I don't
example,
believe
by-
they can.
Well, hang on. So if you are just describing yourself as a theist, for example, right? Like you
Uh-huh.
don't believe in any particular god, or like you believe in like some kind of deistic god, right? That doesn't really hold to a moral system. Like, so you're basically saying like no, your deistic god still does have a moral system, even though like categorically speaking it doesn't. Like this is why I'm saying you're doing a category error. Neither theism nor atheism necessarily deal with the moral question. That's a separate issue. It's kind of
I
like
disagree.
it's kind of like conflating like evolution with abiogenesis. They're
But
two
you're
separate
stating
theories that
something,
conflate
and you're not giving any facts behind it, because there is, what I'm saying is you can only have a moral system if you are a theist. You cannot have a moral
No,
system
not
if you
true.
believe in atheism, and
That's
I can
false.
prove
Not
that
true.
to you.
So simply,
can I-
like,
can
that
I,
Go
can
ahead, Drew.
that can
Go
only be
ahead.
the case.
I w-
That can only
go
be
ahead.
the case. So
Hang on. I
moral
want this guy. I want this guy. Go ahead. Go ahead. Try to
Okay.
do your proof.
All right, I'll give you an example. Is slavery wrong?
Yes,
I would say yes. Under my moral system, yes.
On what basis?
on the basis that in my society, we've evolutionarily decided that enslaving people is considered a bad thing because you're taking away people's freedoms. You're increasing suffering.
You okay? So you said based on evolution. That's actually going to be
No,
anti.
that's not what he
Wait,
said.
Can I respond?
That's
So,
not what he said. He
well,
didn't say
yes, he just
evolution.
did.
He just
He
like
just did say
no, he
that.
didn't. No, he didn't.
Okay, repeat your
He was
reasoning for
appealing-
why it's wrong. Listen to him closely again. Repeat your reason
Yeah,
for
no, he
why
was
slavery
appealing
is
to-
wrong.
He was appealing
He
to
just said
societal norms.
evolution. He absolutely did.
Mm.
Go ahead, repeat it. What's your reason for why?
All right. Okay.
slavery's wrong.
All right. Do you want to hear the whole? Do you want to hear the whole thing?
Well, I want you to be concise so we can have a back and forth. But go
Well,
ahead.
Okay, so first off, as a social species, before we became a social species, we developed the limbic system, which gave us the ability to have empathy. Ultimately, then as you know, and as a group, as a species that survives in a group, we learned that there is behavior that works inside of a group, and there's behavior that doesn't. So evolutionarily speaking, we developed the means through which we can develop empathy.
Actually, I disagree with you
of
right there.
morality. Empathy is developed. Empathy is the basis for morals and ethics.
Yeah, here's the thing. Everybody's perception of empathy is different, and humankind have been at war more times than they've been at peace. We've been killing each other since the beginning
Right.
of time. So if the people to say, wait, hold on, because would you argue that it's empathetic to kill?
For your own people, yes. If you're
Okay, so
arguing for your,
good. That
for
makes
your
that
own
makes
group.
perfect sense. Because so if you say it's empathetic to kill for your own people, why would it not be empathetic to enslave another group of people if it benefits your own?
Because we found that we have developed over the past, say, 500-600 years, we figured out that, hey, slavery not good. Slavery is a detriment to society.
You're making an assertion without saying the foundation behind it. So you're saying something is
The
good, but you haven't said why it was
foundation is
good.
the foundation is that we developed ethics and morals from evolution, which got us into
Oh, so you did
which
say
got us-
evolution. Did you guys hear it that time?
which got no, you're putting the cart before the horse. I'm saying that because we evolved, we evolved all of these different traits, that we eventually got into philosophy. And
Okay.
through our
Yeah,
understanding
you're
of
not saying
philosophy,
evolution is the moral system.
Okay,
through,
so
through
if
our
you believe
understanding
that
of
it has
philosophy, wait,
there's an
shut up,
evolutionary benefit.
shut up.
Well,
No, it's
you
not
gotta
about
hurry up and get to
evolutionary
the point,
benefit.
man.
Jack,
It-
it's not about evolutionary benefit. It's not about
Yeah,
not about
it-
evolutionary benefit. It's not what that's about.
Yeah. So when we talk about this incredibly long chain of events that got us from, first learning how to survive together as a species to advanced philosophy, we figured some shit out. And incrementally, kind of like we evolved in a way, kind of that way, socially, to understand that slavery bad.
That didn't explain why slavery is bad. You didn't give any explanation as to why it's bad at all.
I told you that slavery was bad because it doesn't reap very many benefits, and it increases human suffering.
So what's wrong with suffering? Who cares?
Well, so depending on your moral
Well,
system.
no, I want you to answer him to answer why you stepping in.
Jack, we're trying to explain to you. So depending on the
I don't
moral
want
system.
him to explain it. It's his
but
argument. I want him to explain it.
I hold to a similar like.
No,
I hold
man,
a
don't
similar
take up for your
view
boy.
of
He's supposed to be
reducing-
defending his position.
Jack,
Let him
no.
say it.
Jack,
No,
control yourself for once. Just shut up for a moment instead of hyping yourself up like you're doing right now. If you're not able to, then just leave the conversation, please.
But I asked
Like,
him
just
a
control-
question.
Just control yourself for a second, right?
We're-
I can
this-
explain
this
things as
isn't-
well.
yeah, this isn't PvP, dude. This is a discussion.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
asking
like,
you. I
just
wanted you to
calm
defend your
down.
beliefs, and now he's defending him.
We hold to similar views. I also hold to
Yeah.
the reduction of suffering as a benefit to society.
Okay.
And again, you can simply make so moral systems, they have starting points, right? And if your starting point, for example, is the increase in human happiness or the reduction in human suffering, right? You create a moral system by basically looking at aspects of human behavior and then asking yourself, hey, which of these aspects either increase or decrease, and in this case, moral suffering? If one increases moral suffering, but your moral system starts from the reduction of moral suffering, then you would say that is an immoral act. That's how a moral system is created.
Well, let me respond. Can I respond?
Now we can.
No.
I'm almost done. We can disagree on which may contribute to one another, but that is not like that doesn't make the moral system by itself invalid. It just makes it relativistic. That's it.
Yeah, it's not only that, but here's the problem with even because a lot of atheists and agnostics say this that they're basing things on human suffering. Human suffering is relative
example.
depending on what perspective you're looking at it from. And so when
Of course,
somebody
yeah,
wait, hold on. And so when somebody says, "Oh, suffering is bad and we're going to try to alleviate suffering," yeah, that what they look at as alleviating suffering from one group is suffering for another group. Just like Hitler was to say, "Hey, I'm going to alleviate suffering for those who are retarded," or I'm going to, or other dictators have said, "I'm going to alleviate suffering by enslaving certain people because they're too stupid to do things on their own." So you got
So,
plenty
like
of groups out throughout history who have thought certain things were alleviating suffering, just like Margaret Sanger thought that it would be alleviating suffering to
Jack,
genocide black people. So
Jack, you know your argument. You know. So you know what's funny? Earlier you complained about like, oh, don't use the preference argument. You're currently doing a preference argument right now. You're basically saying the system is invalid because I don't prefer this system. I don't prefer the outcome of the system.
nope, that wasn't
That
my
is not an
argument.
argument. That is because you literally appeals to like, well, in your moral system, it could be valid that Hitler was right. Again, even if that were to be the case, that is still like that is just an argument against the preference, not an argument against the
No,
actual system itself being
that's actually
invalid.
not my argument. My argument is
So what
not
makes the
against
system
your
invalid
wait.
inherent?
My argument is not against your preference. My argument is that your worldview is nothing but preference. It's all about, it's not
So
about human suffering, like you stated. That's incorrect. It's actually just about what is my preference over yours. And if I prefer, and we as a society prefer to enslave another group and determine that that's less suffering for them, then we can do that. So you have no
it's not
moral
just about my
grounds, which is what I
hang
said.
on, Jack. So
Well,
two things. It doesn't have to be just about my preference, but even if it is, I can simply appeal to the preference that like I would not like to normalize things within a society that could also negatively affect me potentially, right? So for example, if in a society where enslavement is normalized, I will have an increased chance to be enslaved myself. I would prefer to not have that. Therefore, I prefer to not have an enslaved society.
Right, but
So
then
that's one. Hang on. So hang on. Calm down. So simply put, that is one thing. And again, secondly, so far what you've said doesn't actually like argue. It's not an argument against anything that your central point was behind. That being that without a God, you cannot have morals. Like it is clear that we can. You just don't like the moral system that is behind it. But it is still a moral system, whether you like it or not.
no, it's actually not a moral system. It's just whatever
How
we
so?
feel. Because I'll explain.
That's still a moral
It's
system,
what
Jack.
I haven't even explained how. How did you didn't even hear me?
Because you
explain
said
why
it
it's
before
not a
about the
moral
preference
system?
thing.
It's not a moral
Because
system.
about
Wait, it's
because
not a moral
preference.
system because everything is relative, and a moral
So
system has to have a foundation and hierarchy. You can't
no,
say I
it
have
does
a moral.
not.
Wait.
Doesn't have.
Yes,
It
it
doesn't have
absolutely
to.
does
You're
because you
talking.
can't say
You're arguing.
wait.
You're
Can I?
arguing
Y'all
objective
won't even let me
versus
finish my
subjective.
argument, but you want me to listen to you. That's your moral system is corrupt based on that. You're not even fair. So come on. So first
You've
thing,
been having
if you
these
have
problems.
a moral system, it has to have a foundation and hierarchy to say
No,
one thing is evil and one thing is good. If I can
no,
come in,
No.
wait,
no.
if I can come in and say the same thing you said was good is evil yesterday, then your whole system is corrupt.
No, it
Dude,
isn't.
Hold on,
it doesn't.
can
By
I
the way,
can I
it
get
Like
a
doesn't.
you're
word in?
basically you're saying, hang on. So like again, like you're arguing from you're starting from the conclusion that a moral system has to be like objective, and then saying therefore a relativistic moral system does
That's
not
the
exist. Like that's
definition
why
of
you're hang on.
morals.
No, it is no. Hang on.
Yes,
No,
it
no.
is.
No. Hang on, Jack. Nowhere in the definition of morals does it say it needs to be an objective moral system. That's not true. That is why you have objective moral systems and relativistic moral systems. They exist. To say that they don't exist is like a slap in the face of philosophy. Even I know that. So again, so that's why I'm saying you're incorporating your conclusion into your argument, right? So that's why you're going the wrong way. Just because, right, certain things may be moral one day and not another day doesn't mean it is like a corrupt moral system.
It actually does
stays
because they're
no,
relative.
Jack. Like you, I like how, by the way, earlier you said like, oh, here's this display because you don't have morals. It's because you can't even control yourself, Jack. You've been interrupting me 3 times over, so maybe you need to look at your own moral system for once first. Continuing, so it needs to be like the only quote unquote grounding it needs is it needs to basically have what's like basically a base claim, right? Is what I call it. That being like, okay, and that's why I wrote the base claim of or like so basically a base standpoint, that being the reduction of human suffering, for example. That is a base standpoint, right? That's what we're grounding everything off in this particular example.
Okay,
right?
so what's
We're
your
grounding
base
that-
standpoint?
The base standpoint is this: the reduction of suffering is good. That's the base standpoint,
And
right?
who
That's
determines
the-
what reduces suffering?
So that is so. Hang on. That's basically determined, broadly speaking, by individuals or society, right? Because that's how we make laws. That's how we determine what actions ought to be permitted or not, perhaps even with outside of a legal setting. So it is like
So if
kind of
we as a
decided by
society
collective
determine
society.
that it's morally right to enslave people, is it morally right?
So yeah, it can be in a given society, yes.
And in fact, in
But just
fact,
because-
in early Judaism and Christianity, it was considered a good.
Yeah, the
Wrong.
Bible even says it's okay to own
Not
slaves.
in the
Yeah,
way
no,
that
it is.
America did it.
Actually-
Not in the way America.
No,
did it.
that doesn't matter.
I
Hang on,
would say
Jack. This is funny, by the way. It's like you never ask about like, oh, is the American slave system bad? You simply ask, is slavery bad? Now, in your own moral system, your God permits, if you're a Christian, your God in Leviticus permits the ownership of
Because
people.
and to an atheist, it doesn't even matter because
And in
everything is
fact-
relative
No,
and
but
to
that's not
them.
what we're talking
Wait,
about.
wait, wait,
Jack.
morality. Wait,
Jack,
let me answer. Can
That's
I
an internal
answer?
critique, Jack.
Can
Jack,
I
it's a
answer?
critique, and it's turned against you.
No. Actually, you're wrong, and I'll explain why. And when it comes to Christianity, Christianity dictates things based on the foundational morality of Christian ethics. So when it comes to Christian ethics, we say slavery, right? In the Old Testament, it even says, and I can show you the passage, if you were to hurt a slave, you are supposed to let him go free. In American slavery, that was not the case.
I
So
can
there are
also-
different
you're wrong.
standards. There are different standards.
Okay,
So-
let me
so-
ask you a question.
when you-
Let me
when-
ask
and
you a
you
If they
question.
keep
guys-
verbally beating
and-
your ass, you're free to
according-
leave anytime you
According
want,
to
buddy.
you guys,
So
What?
slavery is always right if society says it's right.
no. So Jack. So no. So first of all, no. So secondly, Jack. Again, I mean, literally in the Bible, you are permitted to beat your slave up to a certain extent. Leviticus allows you to do that, right? And secondly, you didn't talk any like again. Like I like how you add these caveats. Like okay, well you're allowed to own slaves, but so like again, that's never what you like. You're moving. You're shifting the goalposts.
No,
here.
I'm not.
Clearly. You
I
are
never
because
once.
you moved from.
I was asking- I was asking you guys about your position,
You are.
not
Let
mine.
me explain you why. But let me explain you why. You try to use slavery as a way to basically scrutinize a certain moral system. You then realize that oh shit, the Bible permits slavery, so now you have to move on
No,
from slavery. Hang on, from the act of slavery, Jack. Again, if you cannot control yourself, and I'm using your words against you again.
Well,
you
you're,
may
you're
need to look at your own moral system
strawmanning
again.
my position, and
I'm
you know
not
you're doing that.
strawmanning
You're doing
you.
that on
I'm
purpose.
explaining to you what occurred earlier in the conversation.
That's not
you,
what
in
occurred.
fact, try to use the issue of slavery as a gotcha against our moral system. That is correct. You absolutely did that. That's why you asked about slavery. Now, secondly, when we told you that your Bible permits the ownership of people as property, aka slavery, you pivoted back to, well, it wasn't like American slavery, but that's not what we were
well, let
talking
me
about.
explain what I'm saying because you guys are strawmanning my whole point. What I'm saying is, according to Christian ethics, there was permitted servitude that we would call it today. That means people could willfully go into slavery to pay off debts. And the
That's
Bible
false.
says,
And-
wait. And then the Bible
And the
says,
Bible.
can wait, dude, okay, I can't even respond.
No, you do.
I can't even respond
because
so y'all
you're
because
already
when I'm killing
you're
y'all, when I'm
already
defeating your
wrong.
argument, you don't want me to say
you're
anything.
already wrong.
Wait,
Wait,
you're
no,
wrong.
dude, I know what I'm talking
You're
about.
you're
So when the
you're
Bible talks
already-
Look, I'm
about
tired of
already
hearing him
misquoted-
fucking interrupting everybody else, so just don't do it to him, please.
What, dude?
Like, he's interrupting the fuck out of everybody. Every time somebody speaks, he's like spurging the fuck out in his little high-pitched girly voice or whatever.
You sound
It's
like
annoying
a
the
gay
fuck
dude
out of me.
anyway. So anyways, like I was saying, when you talking about the Bible and what the
How can you
Bible
tell? Like, I
says-
washed my dick afterward.
Well, okay. Do what you want to do with your life. So anyways, like I
There
was
you go.
saying, The Bible talks about slavery and it gives it parameters. And when I was saying what you guys try to do is pivot and say, "Oh, you guys do it too."
Show-
Here's the difference. When the
show
Bible
me
does
in-
it, it gives you
show me
parameters.
in
But when you
Genesis.
guys have it,
Show me
oh
in
wait, can I
Genesis.
respond, man? Can I respond?
You
Y'all
can-
interrupting me every
I-
time I start talking.
Because everything you say is stupid.
So okay, so everything you said is
And-
stupid. So I interrupt you.
No.
you and your
Literally,
you and your butt
literally,
buddy friend had
you're
to join
misquoting-
forces to try to
you're
defeat me, and both of
misquoting
you
your own
guys
Bible.
can't do it. Both of you guys
Jack,
don't
you've been
even know
doing
what
that the
you're talking
entire
about.
time. Also, you're spreading lies about your own Bible, by the way. Your Bible, so your Bible isn't just about debt slavery. That's just completely false, right? I can quote
I
Leviticus
didn't say it was just
25:44.
about that. Did you
You-
listen
no,
to what?
yeah,
You didn't let me
you literally
finish
said
what I was
that.
saying.
You said that,
You
by
could
the
also
way.
talk about. Let's talk
I
about.
said
Let's talk
that
about.
was one
let's-
type of slavery that was permitted. You
Let's
are
talk about-
straw
let's talk
manning,
about-
and you don't know what
That's
you're
not what you
talking
said.
talk
about.
about.
Actually, you
That's not
didn't
what
let
you
me
said.
finish what I was saying, so how
Let's
would you
talk
even
about-
know? And then your
Let's talk about
gay
God.
friend
Let's
tried
talk
to jump
about
in and
God's
help you.
command. Let's talk about God's commandment to go get slaves.
What is okay? And according to your theology,
Yeah,
according
yeah,
to your
that-
look,
Mo-
your,
Moses
wait.
came
According
down
to
from the
your
mountain, and
worldview,
God
what
said-
would be wrong with that? According to your
So
worldview,
for
what
me-
would be wrong with
Yeah.
that?
Oh, very simple. So, Jack, very simple. Well, there's 2 points to this, right? Number one, to me, slavery is a type of suffering that cannot be alleviated by someone else's goodness. So that's one. Secondly, I prefer slavery not to be normalized because that increases my chance to become a slave. Ergo, I do not want slavery. That's my entire thing. Now, you, on the other hand, cannot deny the fact that your God permitted the Israelites to buy slaves from foreign nations.
And what's
He
wrong with
permitted
that?
that.
Wait.
and
According
capture them.
according from an atheist
No,
worldview, what's wrong with that?
So, Jack,
There is
I
no
don't think
atheist
I don't think
worldview, you
understand-
stupid
Jack,
fuck.
hang on.
There's no
wait,
theist
wait.
worldview either.
Yeah, so hang on. So, Jack, I don't think you understand what I'm saying by when I'm
respond to what I just said.
No, Jack, it's because you don't understand what I'm saying.
Wait.
Jack,
According
Jack,
to your
Jack, Jack, Jack,
worldview,
Jack,
what would be
Jack,
wrong with that?
Jack, you're doing it again. Jack, you're doing it again. You need to control yourself for a little bit, young man, please.
It's funny y'all keep
So,
saying that, but you keep
Jack, you're
interrupting me
doing it
every time
again.
I say
You're
something.
doing it again. Because you've been interrupting, like everyone can confirm in this room, you've been interrupting constantly, like constantly.
Well,
So,
first of all, it's
again,
me
Jack,
versus 3 people.
and
so-
here's the thing again, like you cannot control
Well,
yourself.
last of all, wait till he's done talking before you start yelling, first of all,
I'm not talking to
dumbass.
you, gay boy. I'm talking
There's
to the
no-
other guy.
Yeah, so
Listen,
Like-
there's no such thing as an atheist worldview or a theist worldview. Get your fucking shit right and then come back
Yeah.
when you're not retarded.
well, I've been trying to explain
So
to him
come
as well.
back
He's doing
with
a
it.
category. I've been trying to explain to him he's doing a category error by equivocating atheism with moral systems when that is just not the same thing as a category error. I tried to explain it to him, but he refuses to because he doesn't understand philosophy, I guess. But so again, Jack, when I'm saying when I'm telling you about the slavery issue, I'm doing an internal critique, right? So if there were a God and this God were the God of the Bible, in that system, right, slavery would have been permitted. So for you to then turn around and use the act of slavery as a gotcha against my moral system, when I in fact have a reason to completely abolish it, you don't, because again, your God directly permits it and never vouches for the complete abolishment of slavery.
Okay, so can I respond now?
I'm done, yeah.
All right. So in Exodus 21, 20 through 21, it says, anyone who beats a male or female slave rod with a rod must be punished. And if the slave dies as a direct result, they will be punished for that slave losing his life. So here's the other thing, and this is my whole point. When you have Christians who do the thing that you claim is evil because it's harm, they, at the very least, put parameters on it to treat people in somewhat of humane way. But then when it comes to an atheist worldview, they have no parameters they could put on anything because they have to justify everything because morality is relative. And harm, depending on what perspective you look at it from, is always going to be different.
So I know the Leviticus passage you're referring to.
No, that was
and if you're actually
Exodus.
looking at, sorry, the Exodus passage you're referring to, and if you're actually looking into it, even in the titling, this passage specifically refers to the Hebrew servants, not to foreign slaves. The Bible over and over
That's
again,
not true.
including in Leviticus. No, it is. So in Leviticus as well, it makes a distinction between Hebrew servants and foreign slaves. So, for example, in Leviticus, for example, you are not allowed to purchase fellow Hebrews as property. You're not allowed to do that. They may become your servants, and they have like an extended time period in where they become your servants, but they cannot be purchased as property and then be passed on to your children. unlike with foreign slaves, for example, where that is in fact permitted. So, like even literally in Leviticus 21, it literally starts with Hebrew servants as the headline. It says here, if you buy a Hebrew servant, he is to serve you for 6 years, but in the 7th year shall go free without paying anything. Now, again, this whole passage underneath it refers to the Hebrew servant, not to the foreign slave. So you're misrepresenting your own scripture here.
Oh, really? Is that the case then? Then what about Ephesians? This is the New Testament, by the way, because you got to look at scripture in light of scripture. Ephesians 6:9. And masters, treat your slaves the same way. Do not threaten them, since you know that he who is both their master and yours is in heaven. Now, this cannot be, because the New Testament is written to all. So you can't say, oh, this is just about Hebrew. So what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, so the Bible is
I'm not here to change. I'm not here to change a jot or tittle of the old law.
Yeah, so
No.
basically,
I want to hear, because he's talking about the Bible permits this. So what do you say about Ephesians 6:9?
well, so for example, it's funny because again, Ephesians 6:9 just like shows again that when you try to use the slavery argument against us, it doesn't work for you when your God, again, in this quote as well, still permits slavery.
You moved the goalpost.
This
I asked you a
is
specific
I
question.
didn't. No, I didn't. Hang on. I never talked, Jack. My argument has never been about the treatment of slaves. My argument has been about the act of slavery by itself.
So
right?
when Ephesians 6:9.
So when Ephesians, right, says here to treat your slaves the same way. Now it's the same way, right? Do not threaten. Again, it doesn't say release the slaves. It says you can keep them, but treat them in a certain way. That's what it says here.
Because the times permitted that. So therefore, when you have
so it's relative. It's relative.
Who said it was
so more of a
relative?
relative.
I didn't say it was
we
relative.
got 'em, boys.
Relative at a time
Who
period.
said it was
Holy
relative?
shit.
No, I didn't say it was
You just
relative.
said that.
I'm saying it gave
To the time, yeah,
parameters.
you did.
No,
Yeah,
I
you
didn't.
did.
No,
You
I
just said
didn't.
that.
Did
Yeah,
you
you
listen
did.
to what I'm saying?
Yeah, you did.
Can you tell the gay to
Yeah,
shut
you
the
said
fuck
at
up?
the time
I'm
it was
talking to
permissible.
the other guy, and so
At the time
when
it was
it
permissible.
when it no.
You said that,
You,
yes, you
you
did.
didn't let me. You
Yes,
just cut
yes,
me off. You didn't let me
yes.
finish what I was
Everyone-
saying.
I'm just gonna keep doing it because you suck.
Well, okay,
That's the
you
only
do.
reason I'm doing
You
it.
know a lot
You're gonna
about
say
sucking,
nuh-uh, and I'm gonna say
You would know a
uh-huh
lot
every
about
time you say
sucking,
nuh-uh.
wouldn't you?
Uh-huh.
Sorry, you're
The
so
gayest
funny.
sounding dude wants to talk about sucking. Okay. Anyways,
Jack.
so in
The only
Right.
Ephesians
Jack,
6
you want to
9.
record is you're
Jack.
gay when you just completely own
Jack.
yourself.
Well,
That's
no,
so
only
funny,
to the
Jack.
dude who sounds gay,
Such
Jack.
a
not
funny
to
figure,
everybody
Hold
man.
else.
on.
You're
Hold
What's
on.
wrong with
funny
sounding
figure.
gay?
Jack, by the
From
way,
from you guys' point of view,
of
you
all
can
the
suck whatever you
people,
want.
of all the people in here, of all the people in here, you have the most soy voice.
Oh,
Yeah,
I got
true.
the
He has
most
like
soy
the
voice when the
whiniest
dude
fucking
came in here.
voice in this fucking
It's
VC.
because you suck.
He doesn't sound anything like that, by the way. He has a
Well,
far
that
heavier voice
sucks,
than
dude.
you
Won't
do.
call you out for it.
Like
For
you're,
being a
Arguments
dumbass.
are
like, you
Like
have
you're
the
contradicting
highest pitched
yourself.
voice in this VC, by the way. Everyone can hear it.
I had to wipe
You're
my
not
dick
fooling
off.
anyone.
Like,
You're
come on,
like
dude.
somebody
Trying
kicked
to-
Chris Rock in the nuts, dude. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, you kind of sound like the sissiest
Come
guy
on,
in the
man.
chat, Jack.
Y'all got to
You
do
sound
better
like-
than
you
this.
sound-
It's 4 of y'all
you
against
sound-
me, and y'all
you-
still can't
What do you
win.
mean you started the whole dick sucking thing? What do you mean?
You
Hey,
sound
man,
like
he
Urkel
came in here
before-
talking very zesty, so I had to point
You
that out.
sound
No, he didn't. He talked normally.
like you sound like Urkel before his nuts dropped.
Ooh, real
Yeah.
good one. Did you read that on Reddit?
So,
Bro,
so
that's like
Jack,
the hedgehog
I know,
voice. Leave him
Jack,
alone.
I know you may be
Y'all
like
not gonna
mentally
win a roast
like a
battle
little
with
bit
me, dude,
wrong in the head
especially
up
dude
there.
with the
Maybe
dang-
God can help you with creating a better brain for yourself.
Okay.
But by saying
Well, I've been
that something
defeating
is
you,
relative to
so
a time,
you guys
No,
can
you
only
haven't.
win. The only reason why you think
and
you
no
can
longer
Oh,
You
no.
haven't won it.
the only reason
You
why
haven't
you
won
think
a
you can
single-
win the argument is because you overtalk. That's it.
You haven't won a
You've been
single
talking
point in
the
this
entire
argument.
time, Jack.
You've actually literally
Wait, let
scored
the gay
more
dude
own
talk. I want to
goals.
hear him.
Jack, you've been talking the entire time.
You have scored more own goals in this fucking game.
Okay, what were you
I
saying?
stutter, and I will stutter more when you talk over me.
Okay,
Um,
sorry, buddy.
Like Jack, do you think your morals are like protruding here when you act like this, or do you think
I
like are you
think
just
you
being
guys.
a troll?
I think what you guys do is you want to claim that you want to have an argument, but then as soon as I make a point, you want to overtalk me. And it's 3 of you guys against
What?
me, so you want to say, "Oh, you
Well,
guys, you got to
That's
be
because
quiet."
you don't
when he
want to.
talks."
That's because you don't want to have a discussion. You want to just
I
sit there.
would
and-
gladly have a discussion with you.
You're
guys.
the one who
No.
brought up the gay voice into sucking dick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you've
because
been the
your
one
guy
starting the
sounds
whole
gay.
thing, Jack.
Is it
No,
wrong
but
for me to
Jack,
notice that he
Jack,
sounds
you've been the
gay?
one, Jack, don't fucking complain about like not having a fair discussion when you're the one starting off by insulting people's voices and telling they suck
No,
dick
he's
all
the
the
one who
time.
called people
Jack,
stupid
Jack,
and all
no,
types of
Jack, you
stuff.
started the whole.
You're
Jack,
talking
Jack,
scripture.
everyone heard you starting the whole thing. Don't try to fucking spin a narrative again.
Hey man, my feelings
You're
is not
you're
hurt. We can
you've
continue
been
the
such a
discussion
dishonest.
if you want.
You've been such a dishonest interlocutor.
I just said the gay dude
Hell,
sounded
when we
gay.
called you out on the same
In all
thing 5 minutes
fairness,
ago, you even admitted to it.
You said what now? I
in
didn't
all
hear you.
fairness, I called him a bitch or something first.
Yeah, he
He's gonna
did.
act like a
Oh.
bitch. He's just proving
Why
my
do
point.
Christians always go straight
Yeah,
from the
no, he's
scripture to
proving a
sucking
point.
dick?
Yeah, that's true.
Because a lot of y'all are gay. That's why.
Oh,
Yeah, but
okay.
why is that always the
Oh.
first thing you think about? As soon as you
Yes,
stop talking
I'm a
about
Yeah,
scripture,
flaming.
you start
Yes,
talking about
I'm a.
sucking
Oh, we
dick.
got another one.
I'm a
You
flaming.
hear
I'm
manly
a
voices
flaming
and you're like, oh, you're
homosexual.
all a bunch of dick suckers, man.
No,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
just
a
that one
flaming
dude did
homosexual.
sound
That's
kind
why I
of gay.
got
That's all.
6 kids. That's why I
I
got
mean,
6
hey,
kids.
Jack,
Wait,
I'd
who,
rather
adopted?
be a gay man
Cool.
than a proud slave owner. You know, that's just me.
I mean, you can be
There
what
you
you
go.
want. I mean, gay dudes had
So,
slaves
so
too.
Jack, you realize by Ephesians, right? If Ephesians is supposed to be objective, that means that to this day you're still allowed to own slave in your worldviews.
Nope, that's
the
not.
case,
It did
right?
not give a command. It said this is what you should be. If you read the
Wait.
rest of the chapter and you read the rest of the book, it's the whole point of it is that you can serve God no matter what life you live. And so even if
What
you're
did
saved, and Paul talks about this, he says whether you're saved or
what did
free, you can still serve God. That was the whole point. And
Paul
it was
doesn't
teaching
need-
you.
Paul is
And it was
irrelevant.
teaching you that.
Jack, I know that's
Paul
the
is
point,
irrelevant.
but that's in favor of my point because people use your verse to show that slavery is being abolished in that phrase when I know it is not, right? So again,
Wait,
in
what are
your
you saying?
worldview,
I really didn't understand. You said slavery is being
so-
abolished?
So no, I'm saying the opposite. That the Bible, in fact, in no passage completely abolishes slavery. So if that were to be the case, right, that it doesn't do that, which it doesn't, then that means that the act of slavery is objectively a moral thing to do.
No, that's not right. That's incorrect. But here's where I
Then
can
where
agree.
is it immoral
Here's
in the
where I can
Bible?
agree with you. Here's where
No,
I
no,
can.
no.
Wait,
Tell
wait,
me where
wait.
it's
Can
moral
I?
in the Bible.
Well, hold on. Let me show you where I can agree with you. Is this the Bible does not tell you? Listen, slavery in every case is wrong. So this is what I will say.
Oh,
It gives you parameters to make it more humane. And what
Oh.
my problem with
Oh.
when it comes to my problem when it comes to
Great.
atheism. Can I respond? Are y'all gonna-
So,
so what
is
happens
apologetics
is,
open right
rope
now?
is okay. Rope is okay
just
if
like
you
it
bring
does
lube.
with polygamy and other things. So when you have a
Oh my
system created by God, you have a system created by man, which is what you guys believe. It has no parameters, and there is no way to say it's
No, it
wrong
does.
because everything is relative. And that's my
Actually,
whole
There are
no,
point.
parameters with Christianity.
So,
Dude.
Jack, I already gave you the parameters, and my parameters
Are what
perfectly
causes
allow
harm.
slavery to be completely abolished. Your parameters don't allow that at all. That's the problem. So again, like you keep like the only defense that you've had so far, like because your slavery thing is just destroyed. So the only defense you have so far is that like, well, we don't Christianity doesn't allow slaves to be treated like the black slaves in the slave Atlantic trade. But again,
Right, so it's more like servitude.
that's not the
than
hang on.
slavery.
Jack, no one's argument in this conversation has been that slavery in Christianity is like the transatlantic slave trade. Nobody said that. That's something that you've made up and then used as a defense against what we're actually saying, right?
Well,
So again,
go ahead.
either Jack, in your system, there's two options here, right? If your system is objectively moral, right, that being also therefore consistent throughout time, that means that to this day, in your worldview, slavery is in fact a morally permissible thing to do. Purchasing people as property is morally permissible. That's one thing.
Here's wait. No, can we respond?
No, Jack,
Can we deal with
I'm
one
not done
point
yet.
at a
Jack, I'm
time?
not done yet. Jack, I'm not
Can we
done
deal
yet.
with one
I'm
point
not done
before you
yet.
gish gab,
I'm not
man?
done. No, because it's
The same point.
I'm giving you a true
Yeah.
dichotomy here, right? I'm giving you a true dichotomy.
Okay.
It's either true that your system is objective, ergo slavery is still permissible under your system, or secondly, it is no longer permissible, meaning it is relative.
Wrong.
I'm going to bring up a real
Alright,
good
so-
point here.
Well,
Like,
can I
if 5 minutes
respond to
ago
the
you
point
said
he's
something.
making? Can I respond
No, I'm
to
going to
his
say
point?
something before you do.
So
No,
I
I'm
can't
gonna talk over
respond,
you
but
if you
you
do.
guys can just do this.
No,
all day.
you can't respond. I'm going to dog
All
pile you.
right. The gay dude
So
has
here's the
won.
thing:
gay
if you
dude
said
has won.
something extremely fucking stupid 5 minutes
I
ago,
think that
and you
everything
realized
you
it was
said was
stupid,
You weren't even
that's
in the
not
argument.
like going to make you a hypocrite.
All right, these people, they don't want to let people talk. This is insane. Let's see. Okay.
Hello.
Oh, what's up, man?
What's up? Just chilling. I wish I could figure out how to do. I'm pretty sure there's a way I can make the colors go whatever color I want them to instead of alternating, but I don't know how to do that shit.
Oh yeah, there's got to be a program for that.
Here, hold on. That's insane, dude. How you get in a conversation and you can't even let somebody respond, and it's like 4 against 1. And still, if they would have let me respond, I would have been kicking that butt. All right, so let's see what debate hot takes is all about.
You can do it.
The AI is
He's a
somebody needs help.
It's so close.
dude. That
What?
was. You should consider it a career in poetry, man. That was beautiful.
Yep.
Um.
You need a medical treatment as soon as possible.
Whoa. So you're. That's surprising. So you're like pro psychiatry and psychology. That's a surprising attitude from you.
Oh
Crazy.
yeah, why not?
There's actually not pro like North Korea, by the way. So might be one day
Yes.
if you make
You need a
one
North
big one.
Korean psychologist. They're the only legit psychologists in the world.
Yep. I think North Korea is arguably and presumably is the best country in the world.
What's the worst country in the world?
South Sudan.
Okay,
South Sudan.
that's a reasonable answer.
Well, I feel
Somalia.
like it because the metrics are probably different. He's probably like referring to the fact that they're war-torn countries as opposed to like what, like their moral character. He's like evaluating North Korea as perfect because of the moral character of the people.
Yeah,
and
they probably they don't have enough control over the media. In
Dude, why are you
Sudan.
bothered? Why are you bothered about people love their leader? You glorify your stupid king and your stupid national anthem all the time.
Wow.
God save the king. God save the clown.
Most Brits don't really like the guy, so I don't think that's
Dude.
even like. I don't even know you'd infer that.
Then
but
stop glorifying your stupid pedophile king and your stupid national anthem every single time.
King is
Okay?
pedophile, and one of the princes like, once again. Oh my lord.
The Brit-
This job, not so much. Yeah. But I see what you're saying, though.
What are we
yeah,
talking
I mean,
about?
We're just talking about work and stuff and my job.
Oh, nice.
So
What's
I
up,
also
y'all?
want to get. What's up, man? I also want to get into real estate because I want to buy properties. I don't want to just sell properties. I want to get them deals.
damn. Okay. You gonna like flip houses? Or you gonna like rent, or what's the idea?
I think the best thing to do is actually to keep the house and rent it.
Or back to the history. The way we look at history and evidence from history, we can be fairly confident that the New Testament is intact the way it was written.
Yeah. So who wrote
Yeah.
the New Testament?
Multiple holy men who were inspired by God to write the
What were their
history
names?
of what was going on then.
Just the first four.
Polycarp, Matthew. Sometimes they were written by people who were writing for them, as in they were dictating it.
What were their names?
Sometimes,
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
well, that's one set of them. Yeah, but like for instance, John was more likely written by one of his disciples who wrote for him because it was written in his later years. They said they
So who
believe
was
it
it?
might have been a man named Polycarp.
Could have been.
But I don't need to know the author to look at how many times and how many manuscripts we have of it to go, whatever was written in the first century, obviously at this point we've been able to put together with good confident consistency that this is what was said in these documents.
But do you realize, like, you could grant that all of this history is true, but it's the key details that matter.
Sure.
The extraordinary details.
Right. And if they were inspired by God, which it claims to be, what the Bible, the New Testament claims to be, is the inspired word of God. So if it was inspired by God, and God kind of inspired means the word for inspired in Greek is the same word you use to play an instrument. So if God inspired it through these men and they wrote down His word, we can be fair if you accept that claim, which the Christians that believe that Jesus claimed to be
How
God
could I accept
believe.
that God did that
I don't
in
need you
order
to claim it.
in order to get evidence that God exists?
Right.
So
I don't
gotta,
need you. I don't need you to accept it. What I'm trying to point out is that people have accepted it.
and what's the point? What's the point you're making there about
Well,
that
the
they
point
have?
is that historians have accepted that the New Testament
Historians?
is. Yeah, historians have accepted it. The
That
populace at
God
large
exists?
has basically, many scientists have accepted that there was something prior to time, space, and matter that caused creation. Now, they don't call it Jesus in every situation, but some
Or
people
God in
do.
every situation.
Sure,
You
but
just
it had
said
to be
it. Yeah,
something that's not time,
that's
space, and
completely
matter.
different than the Christian God to say something existed before time, space, and matter.
Well, no, he
How
would
is that
fall into the
different?
category of something that existed before time, space, and matter, according to his description.
So, I mean, I could make a flying spaghetti monster have the same
Sure, you
description.
could. Sure, but that doesn't negate that he would fall into that category to be
And the flying
considered.
spaghetti monster certainly would fall into that category.
Sure, and he would fail. He would fail with scrutiny. But I'm
Why
just saying,
would God? Why wouldn't the God you described fail with
the
scrutiny?
Christian God. Well, for some
Because he's
people
not
that look at it.
falsifiable.
Oh, he would be. In fact, Paul falsified Jesus being divine himself in his letters. He said, if Christ was not crucified and resurrected, then he is not divine. That's the paraphrase of what he said. So he falsified his own argument.
So
Okay?
if he
He
didn't
said,
do
if
that,
this
then
is true, then
that's
everything we
true.
do is for nothing.
Hey, that's
That's what he
true. But
said.
if he didn't die and if he wasn't crucified and risen, then what was it that he said?
He's not the Son of God.
Then
He's not God.
yeah, there you go. I agree with
Yeah.
that.
Right, you do, and that's what Paul was saying is if this isn't true, we do everything for nothing. This means nothing.
Yeah.
But
So
if
you
it's
agree then.
true, the other part of the conversation he had with himself in the letter was, if it's true, it means everything.
Yeah, of course it does.
Right? Sure.
I agree.
Yeah. Back
Whatever.
to the point is.
So now what?
No, it's just back to the point, Billy, that the claim has power if it's
Okay,
if
but at
it's
the end of the
confirmed
day,
by
what you-
history and it is believed by people. The faith
No,
of the people is what gives
what
it power.
what no. It's not confirmed by history.
Mm.
You can say that he claimed to be God, that can be
Sure.
confirmed by history, but you can't
Right.
say that Jesus claimed and is to be God and say that that is confirmed by history. You can say Jesus claimed to be God. That's confirmed by history.
Yeah, and if you
settled.
remember earlier,
You
I
can't
said
say
if you remember earlier, I said that I would really try to defend that second part of the guy who started this room's claim, and I don't know how to change the prompt. So, and I don't think I have the power to change the prompt. Maybe you do, but I wouldn't try to defend those two things together. Those two are two different things.
okay,
two
well
different
then I guess
conversations
we don't
in my
we don't
thinking.
have a lot of disagreement then, really.
Right. They are two different things. I'm not saying that he's not God because I believe he is, but that's a whole other set
But
of
then you
evidence.
believe in the absence of evidence.
No, I don't.
I think you do.
No.
I think you're
Not
both
at all.
bald.
I actually have a full head of hair. Thank you very much.
You have a
I
full
take
fucking scrotum
finasteride.
of pubes. It's not the same.
I
You know what I'm
take 1
saying?
milligram finasteride daily.
Wow. Well, I'm not here to take shots at people's hair. So
So
I'm not
what's
with
the
that.
question that he has? I don't. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. Are you questioning Jesus's divinity for Mr. Zach?
I'm not religious. I don't give a fuck about Jesus.
Oh, okay.
Whoever that was who was talking.
Billy.
What you
Billy was
asking?
talking.
Are you questioning Jesus' divinity? Is that what the question is?
Yeah. So like, look at the title. It says Jesus claimed to be, and then take out the other part. If you just said Jesus claimed to be God, I say, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. If you say Jesus is God, now there's a problem there. That's rather hard to prove.
I think it's very hard to prove. I think that's kind of like the whole purpose in life is to try to determine, what your purpose is and who created you and what if there is a creator, what is your purpose? Wouldn't you say that would be one of the main hardest things for a man to figure out?
I agree with you, Jack.
Well, I mean, mankind, not just man.
Right. Yeah. Mankind has been debating these things since the beginning of time. But ultimately, I would say that without God, if there is no God, then you would have absolutely no purpose.
I don't think so.
Other than the purpose you
Because
provide for yourself.
Because I have purpose without believing in God.
Can you explain to me what your purpose would be?
I mean, I'm a husband and a father.
It was really fun, guys. God bless you. Have a good night.
Take care.
You said
What is happening?
okay, husband and a father. I think that can be part of overall purpose. But okay, so say if you did not have a wife and you did not have kids, would you have a purpose?
Depends. I mean, what I make of myself.
Right.
If I could have good purpose, bad purpose. I mean, let's just say I was big into community service. I'd give a purpose. Or if I was, an integral part of my employer, my job, I'd have purpose. If I, whatever. I mean, like I said, it could be good or bad purpose. I could go around killing people. I got purpose in a sense.
Right. So let me ask you this, and these questions may seem a little bit redundant, but I want you, I think like when you ask these questions, it really gets to the core of the issue. So if you
if you mean purpose by like, do I have a reason to live? Well, like, I don't want my kids to grow up fatherless, and I don't want my wife to live her life without her partner.
Right. That sounds commendable, but you said like you could go around killing and that could be a purpose. What would make that bad?
It could be. What would make that bad?
Yeah.
I mean, let me just ask you, like, you know what it's like to feel pain, right? You know what it's like to get hurt.
Right.
You don't want to be hurt. And, and you've had loved ones die, or at least maybe friends, or you've known of people who have died. Like, you don't like that feeling, right?
Yeah, but there's a lot of things that I don't like that are good for me. Like even lifting weights when you're trying to get a new rep max.
Eating
or
vegetables.
Something. Yeah, eating vegetables or getting lifting weights. These things hurt, but they're still
but
good.
Those are backed based on evidence.
Right.
Hard scientific evidence. Overwhelming scientific evidence.
I would agree with you there, but what I'm asking is when it comes to what's good and what's bad, what really are we only going off of your experiences, or what do you say makes something good and what makes something bad?
I mean, there's no need to even run through this whole our morals objective or subjective argument. I don't believe in objective morals.
Okay.
We created morals based on things like I was talking about before, like what we know, what we feel, what we wouldn't want, therefore we know we wouldn't want to enact that on others. And then on the more controversial issues, we have debate, discussion, debate, politics. There's things that we come to these morals throughout time, throughout our evolution through culture. Like, for example, like slavery being okay at one point and now being not okay. Gays.
I just had a discussion about that. But yeah, so,
not being okay in the past, and now we're okay with it. So like we're deciding this as a civilization what's moral and what isn't.
So if the argument then is we as a civilization decide what's moral and what's not, then couldn't you say that plenty of things in civilization we now look back and say that they were evil, but at the time we thought they were good.
Yeah.
Right.
Who's we?
Well,
But
I mean,
you're gonna
as a
say so.
society.
Then we're uncovering. We already know where you're going. Then there's some objective moral, and we're yet to uncover it. We're working our way toward it.
Well, I wouldn't
That's what you're
necessarily.
gonna say.
No, I wouldn't say we're
No.
working our way towards it. I would say that when it comes down to man deciding morality for himself, it will always be relative, and it will always show him
Yep.
that there's always a bigger need outside of himself as to what's right and wrong. There's always going to be.
Yeah, but obviously,
Yeah, go ahead.
even if you say like morality comes from God or God grounds morality,
Mm-hmm.
it's still gonna be subjective. I
Why
don't
do
know
you-
if that's like the point you was making.
Why do you think that?
Yeah, because under philosophy, how these terms are usually, disputed. Apologies for the voice crack. It's just gonna be understood that if you say that, what it means for an action to be good or bad is to just go in accord with, God's attitudes, then it just becomes dependent on God, right? Which is
Well, then,
borderline subjectivism.
There you go.
So that would be the case if we didn't know God's moral law, if it wasn't established. Wouldn't you agree?
If your argument is God objectively exists, therefore whatever he expresses must be objective, that would just that sort of reasoning logically would just transfer to any agent that objectively exists.
Well, I don't get what you mean by that. So, are you saying that if God my fault, I'm pronouncing the word wrong. If God exists objectively, then what were you saying?
Yeah, I was saying if you're saying I was saying if your argument is God objectively exists,
Mhm.
therefore whatever he expresses is objective. That sort of I'm saying that sort of reasoning would logically transfer to any agent that objectively exists.
Well, when you say objectively, I'm not saying just because God objectively exists, then what he says is right. I'm saying God is the epitome of right, and I think that's a different argument. Like the standard for right and wrong is God. Like the Bible talks about, he is the truth. He is good. It's not
Hello?
just because he exists.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I'm God.
I cut out for like a minute.
Oh, okay. My fault. I didn't know if you heard me or not.
I heard you say I'm not saying because God is objective, or I heard that and you just cut out.
Oh, okay. So what I was saying is just because he exists doesn't make
Yeah.
it objective. It's because he is the epitome, the ultimate good or the ultimate truth. So if the ultimate good, he's the standard
fine.
for
You can,
that.
Yeah. That's God can be the standard. I can grant everything you're saying, and it's still going to be subjective.
How is that?
Look, for more realism, because for more realism to hold, it would have to be independent of God. Because if it's just solely fixed on God and God grounds it, and God is just the standard, then it becomes dependent on God. Because whatever something is to be good, is to just going is whatever God's attitudes are that expresses it. A given subject to be good, right?
Well,
That's like
yeah,
the-
I don't
the-
see what's wrong. What's the problem
yeah,
with that?
yeah. If
God-
but then
God's
but
deciding
then
it.
if that's the case, that's subjectivism. That's actually not objective morality at all.
I don't think you made that connection clear, man. Because what you're
I don't
No, I
think you
did.
proved
Look,
God.
look,
I
look.
think you've presupposed God several times in this
I
debate.
think we have to
Look,
presuppose
look, listen,
something, to
look.
be honest. But go ahead.
Okay,
that
I
just depends. But
presuppose
look,
that
if
there
you're
is no
using-
God. Let's have the
look,
debate now.
That's the whole debate. You presuppose something then that I did that I don't. So that's the whole point.
Look, subjectivism as a meta-ethical theory just makes a very simple basis of what it means for a given action to be good or bad, right or wrong. It's just that it's in accord with the mental state, within the attitudes of a given subject. The point is, if you hold to the view that, God grounds morality, this is fixed on God, then your view is just a subjectivist view, because what it means for an action to be good is just that it's in line with attitudes, the mental state that God has. But
No,
that's just
it's
by
not.
definition
Well, you
subjectivism.
assume, or I think you're assuming that.
Dude, he got you.
No, I don't think so. Because what happens is, are you assuming that the mental state of God changes? Is that what you're saying?
No, look,
I
God
can-
has
I-
a
I can
mind,
grant-
and
no,
God,
hold on,
God
wait,
decides
wait.
what is good
I
and
can
what's
grant-
bad. That's
Yeah,
subjective.
hold on, wait. I can grant that God's whatever God's attitudes towards good and bad are fixed. I can grant everything you're saying.
Okay.
The point is that even if you say, it's fixed, God is the standard, everything
Sorry, you cutting out.
by
I didn't
definition,
hear you.
it's still going to be mind dependent. Yeah, I said.
Well, what? Okay, so it's
let me
mind
get
dependent
closer.
on a being that's an absolute. How is that?
Yep. Yep.
How is that relative?
How is that
Mind-dependent.
relative? Because how is that relative? Because
Mm-hmm.
for more realism to hold, it would have to be mind independent, stance independent by definition.
Well, that'd be different if God wasn't an absolute. If you're talking about humans who don't
It
know
wouldn't be
everything,
different at all.
how not? How would it not?
No. Yeah, because so would you understand more realism to be? Because I understand more realism makes basic.
Maybe it's your
makes a very
accent, or
look,
you're
it makes
saying
a very
boss,
simple
if there were
basis.
no mind,
Look, listen.
would
Look,
there be objective
look,
morals?
Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. Because I'm not even sure he understands what moralism is saying. Moralism is saying that, like moral judgments, their true value is stance independent, right? If that's the case, then it would have. Even if God existed, God would have to make it so where it's independent of Him. That's like, what theists usually are
Wait
committed
a
to
second.
say.
I don't
Because
think
if
that
you-
made
because if
any.
you
Can you
say-
explain that again? Because I don't think that didn't make any sense to me. Go ahead. Maybe I don't
Yeah, so-
understand. Go ahead.
Yeah, so moral realism, right? Is the view that moral judgments, their sort of true value stands independently, right? And for that to hold,
You said
it
that
would have to
morals
be
stand
outside-
independently.
So moral realism is the view that moral judgment's true value stands independent. That's basically the view, right? And I'm saying that even if God existed, presumably before God made the universe or whatever, he would have had to make it a way where it's independent of him, right? He's not morality.
He's trying to
is sort
say
of grounded
independent
on
of
him.
mind.
Yeah.
I don't but that doesn't make sense. So wait, what you're saying is God would
Oh
have
my God.
had. No, I'm just trying to understand, man. I'm just trying to understand. Maybe you know something I don't. So what you're saying is God would have had to make something independent of him?
Before making the universe, morality, it would, what it means for be good and bad would have to be independent of him. That's what moralism.
Why
that's
is
just
that
what
though?
moralism is saying.
What makes that true?
Yeah. Because if you, because do you think that God is conscious?
Yes.
Okay, great. And do you think that God expresses mental states?
Not to the degree that we could understand it.
If we
Okay, so
can't
you don't-
understand
so
it,
you-
how do you understand?
So
boss?
wait, hold on,
Because
wait.
I
no,
can
wait,
explain
wait,
that. I can
wait.
answer that.
Wait, hold on, wait, Do you think that God is a mind? A material mind?
He's not. No, not material. No.
Okay, so you reject the classical
No, like
theistic
a dude
notion.
just said we can't understand, but also said he understands at the same
No,
time.
that's not what I said. You never let me respond.
Okay, if God is not a mind, and God and morality is fixed on Him, do you think that and this question might sound confused, but it's essentially like what you're probably gonna be committed to say. Do you think that God is the moral truth?
Do I think God is moral truth? I think he's truth in general. So maybe that's my answer your question.
Look, I don't want this dude to try and box you in a corner. All he's saying is that morals have to be independent of a mind. And if morals come from the mind of God, then that's subjective.
But why do you so why do you say morals have to be independent of a mind? Why?
Yeah, because moralism as a meta-ethical theory states that by definition.
But
right?
okay, but you haven't stated
states that
why
they're truth-
why is that true?
Yeah. Wait, what do you mean? Why is that's a confused
You say that
question.
morals have to be independent of a mind. Why is that true?
Yeah,
Because
if
it
they're
has to
not-
be if
yeah,
no-
because
if no
because
mind
if they don't, it
exists-
becomes stance. Yeah, because if they don't, it becomes stance dependent by definition, not stance independent. That's
Okay,
why.
so you say if no mind exists, then what?
Like, let's say no humans exist. Would it be
Uh-huh.
wrong to murder another human?
I get what you're saying, like that wouldn't make sense. But when you're talking about God, you're talking about somebody who exists out of time and out
Doesn't
of
matter.
Why is that?
Does not matter. Yeah, because if God grounds morality still, it's still going to be fixated on him, which means it's mind dependent, or sorry, stance dependent.
But what's not? I guess the question I have is, okay, so it will be dependent on God. What's wrong with that? That goes totally.
Yeah, nothing. No, nothing is wrong. I'm not saying no. Oh my, look, I'm not saying anything is wrong with that. You can have that. There's nothing wrong with that view. You can perfectly have the view. I'm just saying that, okay, if that's your view, morality is just not going to be objective. It's just going to be subjective.
Okay, so it's subjective, which means it's dependent on God.
Yeah, still exists. Stands dependently.
Right, it's dependent on God. Okay, I don't have any. I don't see any.
Yeah, this is
conflict
the
with
view
that
that's called
ideology.
divine. Yeah. Well, this is called divine command theory. Right?
I've heard of this before.
God grounds morality. Whatever is good just depends on God's mental state. Sort of God's attitudes. Right?
Except that when you
that's
have
the case,
okay.
if that's the case, and if that's the case, and like let's say, they're not gonna be fixed, then if God decided rape was good one day, by definition it would be, because whatever is good just comes from God. And if you say, well, God wouldn't do that, then you're not gonna be committed to say that they're not fixed.
Well,
right?
actually, no, I would say that God wouldn't do that, because if God is truth, he cannot conflict with himself. If he is a truth, then he can't say a
Doesn't
lie.
matter.
Wait, hold on.
No.
Because can I respond? I'll let you go for a second.
Because when you say it goes against God's nature, that's okay.
No, it has to go against not God's nature, because if God says, listen, I cannot lie, or I am not God, which he has said in the word. So I cannot lie. Then he says, "Hey, these things are good, and God is good, and these things are bad." Can I respond, man? I tried to let you talk. I'm being pretty. Have I been rude to you? All right. So if he says these things are good, and these things are my attributes, and these things are bad, and they go against me, and these things are not God, then how can God not be God? He wouldn't. That's what being bad or sinful is.
Yeah, this just depends on. Do you think that God's attitudes, what he finds good and bad, are fixed or unfixed?
They're fixed.
Never changing. They're fixed, so they don't change. Okay, great. Yeah, I can grant that, and it's still going to be subjective by definition.
And how is that?
Because it's still going to be stance dependent on God.
Yeah, but if God doesn't change ever, then his views of what's good won't change either.
That's fine. It's still going to be stance dependent.
That's fine. I guess I have no problem with something being dependent on God. That doesn't change the worldview at all. My worldview at all. It doesn't challenge it at all.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. I can agree as well. But it just wouldn't be more realism.
Okay, and that's fine. I guess if you're saying my worldview is not your worldview, that's totally fine. What I'm saying is
not more. No. Sorry, I'm not a more realist.
Okay.
I lean towards I just lean towards relativism, right? But I'm saying if you are committed to saying that morality is just solely dependent on God, then this would be a stance dependent view, not independent view, which is fine. You can commit. There's nothing I guess wrong with that.
So my whole point was that I think the argument you were making before was that even when you believe in God, morality is relative. Was that correct?
No. It just depends on. Well, that just depends on what metaethical. Yeah, because you could say, for example, I believe in God, but I also hold him.
Is this moved on from the title?
Wait, hold on, wait. You can answer this question after I make this point. But I'm saying,
I'm not making a point in the discussion. I just want to ask if this is a conversation about whether Jesus is going to be God or not.
Yeah, wait, hold on. Look, Jack. Look, look, real quick. Even if you hold to, God existing, you could also hold to, moralism. You can just say it stands independent, but God still exists. Right. Yeah.
Okay, and so I think your overall point, remember we were talking about, did you have any qualms with the deity of Jesus Christ? Because that's what we were talking about.
No, I just had a problem with the stance independent claim.
I think morals are subjective, in my personal opinion. I don't think you need God to just to explain the fact that we have morals. I think there's better explanations.
I don't think so.
I think it's pretty obvious. A lot of the
history proves that it's
like-
not. Like mankind has always disagreed with what was right and what's wrong. In fact, we fight wars for that.
Well,
very
I mean
thing.
that almost like proves that it's subjective.
How?
You say mankind disagrees on what's right and what's wrong.
Right. It proves that people think that the moral relativity, they don't believe in moral relativity. They're willing to die that their way is right. Right. So when
Well,
you,
I mean they might believe in objective morals and they're different religions and they're fighting each other over it. But as a whole, you can see that it is subjective because this religion believes this and this religion and the other religion believes that.
okay, so if that's the case, then what do you determine right and wrong by harm? The harm principle? Because I've been hearing a lot about that.
No, I mean that would be one portion of it, but like we would determine. I mean, mostly it's cultural, it's society. Like, we could start by saying, why don't I want to hurt people? Because I know what it's like to be hurt, and therefore, I know the pain it causes. I don't want to do that to others because I don't want that done to me. But then, like I said, there's things that are harder to come to that a conclusion on to what's right and what's wrong, and we determine that through our society, through the courts and through debate and protest, and we evolve over time as to what we decide as a society what is right and what is wrong.
But we have
through our
cultures.
laws.
We have plenty of cultures that hurt people all the time, and it's part of their culture to do so.
So
Like what? Like Arabic, like Islamic culture.
It's more than that. We got African cultures, Arabic culture. We got even in America, we have people that we don't believe that children are even when they're in the mother's womb that they're not even people. So you can
Yeah,
argue.
but that's one of those things that's not what I was talking about. Isn't so obvious. This is where there's a debate about when does life start.
You can debate
And-
it, but what I'm saying is that when you look at
no, but this is something we're going to decide. Abortion is just like slavery. It's just like gay marriage. It's something that we're going to have to come to a conclusion on eventually. We're going to have to define when life starts in this scenario, because that's really what it is. That's really what the crux of the argument is on abortion. Is like, are you murdering or are you killing a life? Aren't you?
And here's my thing, though. People typically don't even care whether they are or they aren't. We know in our hearts that murder is wrong, but people don't generally care as long as it doesn't get in their way. It's not a harm principle.
Wait, are you saying abortion is murder?
Yeah, I believe it is. But here's what I was going to say. This is what
But,
let me finish.
but,
Can I
like,
finish
we
my
haven't
point?
even solved the argument.
But
like,
here's my
about
problem.
when
Here's
does
my
life
problem
begin?
with that. When it comes to the harm principle, people don't really care about who it harms as long as it benefits them. So the harm principle that people say we're
How much harm would you have gone through if you got aborted?
well, the harm principle that people say society is based on, they don't even really believe it.
How much harm would you have gone through if you got aborted?
Quite a lot. When you look at, because I've seen abortions happen and look at the videos, the babies do feel pain. So yeah, it'd be a lot.
It depends how long.
fetus feels pain?
It
A
depends how
fetus
long the
can
pregnancy
feel
is,
pain.
obviously.
Yes.
So if
Depends
I
how
look
long
that
the-
up, I'm gonna find
At certain stages,
you know,
yes, of abortion, they can feel it. Yes.
Yeah, like
what if you got
19
aborted first trimester? I'm
And
not
here's the,
without
and
even
even if the
looking it up.
argument is
murderer.
even if the argument that you can just kill anybody who doesn't feel pain, how is that the harm principle? You can just harm anybody who doesn't feel pain. So if you shoot somebody in the back of the head and immediately they died, is that good?
Well, I mean, you can quantify the harm. Look at the brain matter. Look at the blood flowing out of the head.
Well, okay, so you
And just to
quantify it.
clarify, for when this conversation's finished, I'm not convinced of the deity of Jesus.
Okay,
That's
we
great.
going off into another. avenue. We can
Look
talk
at-
about
Yeah,
that
no,
too.
you can do this conversation. I can wait.
Right. So the harm principle that people claim that they believe in, they don't even believe it. Even you saying they could quantify the harm shows that there's different
I mean,
levels
we
of
don't even
harm.
have to have this debate. All I have to do is tell you that this debate isn't settled as a culture yet, as a society.
That goes
And
to
once
show you
it
they don't care
is,
about harm. That goes to show you they don't care about harm.
Then-
Because
That's just appeal to the masses.
the fact that they would even side on an
Hey, man,
abortionist
do you
side.
believe in slavery?
Well, hold on. The fact that they
Is
would even
slavery wrong?
side, the fact that they would even side on
No.
the side of abortion when we haven't finished the debate shows they don't care about harm.
Hey, is slavery wrong?
Did you hear what I just said?
I did, but I'm asking a question. I'm backtracking.
No, there's versions of slavery that are fine.
Okay, what about Jack? What do you think?
I think when it comes to more what I would call servitude, I don't think that's wrong. Some people call that slavery in different parts of the world. But then there's some parts of slavery who are absolutely wrong when you mistreat people. But there are people that have put themselves in slavery, quote unquote, that are more of a servitude in different parts of the world. I don't think that's necessarily wrong.
But
Like
if you went back
prisons
200-300 years and you start asking people the same question, do you think slavery is wrong? Do you think you'd get more yes? I mean, do you think you get more people saying no than you do today?
I think they would be okay with
Who
it,
cares?
and that's why moral
Let's just appeal
relativity.
to history.
That's why I think moral relativity and the harm principle is just a lie. Society has never been based on that. Nobody really cares about it as long as it benefits them, and that's why
I mean, how does
it's slavery going on now to make
thinking
each one of
slavery?
our
How does
phones.
thinking slavery is wrong benefit me?
Well, I didn't say that. I didn't say thinking slavery wrong would benefit you. I'm talking about that
Well, I'm
even
them.
you right now, you do benefit from slavery right now.
Why?
Because even in China, when it comes to making our phones and making our
Oh,
things,
no,
we got
yeah, I hear
slavery
you. That's
making up all our stuff. And I'm not even one of those
Yeah.
people that's like super liberal saying don't buy anything. I'm just one of those
right.
people
I hear
that
you.
being
I
realistic.
hear you, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, as far as owning slaves, like a few 200-300 years ago, a lot of people thought that was fine. This day and age, you ask people the same question, most people, especially in the United States, are going to say that's wrong.
Right. I agree.
What's most people? Because I mean, like Christians
Most is
did not
more
like
than
Jeff.
50%.
Okay,
And
so
so
who
my fault,
cares
go
though?
ahead.
That's an appeal to fucking the masses.
Who
It's a
cares?
fallacy.
Okay, well, what about gay marriage? Let's go to the next
It's
one.
an appeal to the masses. Yeah, you know what happened with the fucking gay marriage? Obama tricked an entire nation into legalizing it.
Not only that, but when it comes to the harm principle with gay marriage, gay sex is definitely harmful. So nobody cares about that.
Yeah, you have to wear a diaper, like on average.
Is it harmful
Yeah.
to you? Is gay sex?
Five
Are you
to
gay?
every 5
Jack,
to
are you
10
gay?
years.
He's right about that diaper thing too. That's true.
You
Hey,
can
Jack, are you gay?
why
is gay
so
sex
if a
harmful to
baby
you?
if a baby is getting killed, oh, it's not my baby. Are you fucking retarded?
Yo, Frank, are you gay? How is gay sex harmful to you?
Should we not care about our fellow men that it
Should
does
we
harm?
should we not care about people? Like is that what you're advocating for?
I'm just saying,
what's the
how's it
harm?
harmful to you?
It's not about
It is
him.
harmful in a society. It
People
is
don't
harmful
live in a
society.
vacuum.
What's the
You
harm,
might have
sorry?
friends. I have
We're
friends.
talking about you.
Because it normalizes certain things within a society, and then it promotes like an image,
But that goes to
And
show
that
you the
hurt-
harm
that
like
hurts
principle.
degeneracy.
The harm principle doesn't
Yeah,
matter
but then
because
you're
when it
not
comes
making
to
a case
people
that it's
doing what they
harmful
want
to
to
an
do,
individual, which is what was said first.
when
You're
it
The first thing
making
that
a
was said
place
was that
that's very harmful to an individual. What are you talking about?
when it
which
comes
you
If you
as an
individual is
encourage,
harm?
individual.
if you encourage sexual degeneracy, you're going to get a society that is
Which
sexually degenerate.
individual does it
that's
harm?
man. I like what
Which
he's saying right
individual?
there.
I don't know. Like children harms the fucking population. It harms
You're proceeding to
anal
name not
sex.
individuals.
It harms the two
Okay,
gay
well,
people that are involved, man.
What are you talking? Yeah, you know what the fuck? Children, the group children is made up of individual children. What are you
How does it
talking
harm
about?
What do
children?
a group's made up of individuals? Wow.
Yeah,
How
that
does
I know, right? You're making fun of
how does it harm
Elijah,
children?
who's on your side, by the way.
People love to say they care about what
Because
harms people in society.
if you encourage sexual degeneracy
it's going to harm children who are the most vulnerable because people will be sexually attracted to those people.
What's your evidence that homosexuality is
Like historic evidence of like societies who become like open pro-gay and stuff, and then they go out and they become like degenerate. Their populations fall because they're not having children. You can see this with Rome 3
That's
times.
not quite. You were saying that homosexual.
Oh, I'm not done. Yeah, I'm not done.
You were saying homosexual acceptance in a society is like correlated with, for example, pedophilia. That was the implication of your claim.
Well, yeah, they are the most overrepresented pedophilia. If you go look up on
They are.
FBI statistics.gov, yeah, they are.
Well, I mean, are you going to
it's not
tell
clear
Jack
that it's
about
positive,
like the
for
black
sure.
statistics?
What about them?
Yeah, well, they have a big problem too. I'm not going to deny that.
I mean,
so.
what are you expecting me to deny that because I'm black, or I believe in the truth, man? I don't.
No, I'm just saying, like, you're going to go around saying that?
Saying what specifically?
Yeah, but I mean,
hit me with
like-
the truth. I want to hear it.
I mean,
Yeah,
you're
give,
going to be
give them the
spouting-
truth. You brought it up. There.
Go ahead, say it, man. I'm here.
No, I ain't giving him the truth.
No,
that's
tell
your
me,
that's
man.
your job.
You
Oh, but
guys
you just
probably
brought it
wouldn't
up,
believe. You guys probably wouldn't believe the things
Oh, now
I've
you're gonna
seen.
puss out.
Go
You're
ahead,
gonna
tell
puss
me.
out, dude.
Tell me what
You're
it
gonna
is.
puss
Is
out.
it
What about
true
the
that
what about the
the
black
that
guys?
black people account for a disproportionate percentage of the murders?
Yes, they make up 13%
Yeah,
of the
but,
population, and they commit 60 to 70% of violent crimes. Yep.
And why is that?
Why is that? Because
Culture.
I'll give you an answer. It's because we have a stupid, ignorant, fatherless culture where we don't raise our children right, and we encourage crime behavior. We encourage it in our music, and we encourage it by the single moms who go out and have sex with thugs. That's why.
Actually, that's another good point.
And
You
how
know, like
do we fix
the
it?
leading
take.
The leading factor for prison populations, for homosexual people, for domestic abusers, for almost every negative group, do you know what the contributing factor of all those people are? 90% of the time.
Fatherless homes.
Single raised by a single mom.
Yep.
Yep.
See, me and this guy gonna be friends, even though he's white.
All right. How do we fix
I've never
this
heard
problem?
before that homosexuality is correlated with single motherhood. Do you have anything on that? Do you have any evidence of that?
Yeah, you
Just
right
curious.
there.
No, I'm an ultra orthodox Jew. We don't do gay things.
Oh no! That's debatable.
Well, it depends on the day.
No, it's not. It's very clearly forbidden.
Only on the Sabbath, though, right?
No, it's forbidden all the time.
I'm not gonna touch that one.
I'll trust you. I'll trust you. I'll take your word for it. Netanyahu just called me. He said, go ahead and take his word for it.
It's a clear verse in Leviticus.
I seen a dude.
I know it
I
is.
seen a
I know it
rabbi
is, yeah.
biting doing a circumcision with his mouth. That was pretty gay.
Yeah, what's up with that?
You mean Matita Bapeh?
Oh, it says it's a
Yeah,
word
what's
for
up
it.
with that?
Yeah, it's a
Why do you
practice
guys
among
do that?
some. Oh, it's
Why not just use like
because-
clippers or something? I'm not for circumcision,
I mean-
but
I
like
mean,
do
the-
clippers at least, man.
The circumcision isn't done with a mouth. It's a procedure that's done because, essentially, for
Well,
hygienic reasons, because
Orthodox,
there
sorry.
wasn't a way to have an antiseptic historically, and so the most antiseptic thing that they had available to them was saliva.
But then you had some
Dude,
questions about like the
dude,
LG.
That's nasty.
Hold on. Remember when somebody was saying earlier that the LGBTQ, like their group, people don't know that they're twice as likely to experience mental health conditions, depression, anxiety. They have the suicide and self-harm
Dude.
rate is 2 or 3 times more likely.
80% of the population.
I think they're right.
Of
I think that's how
homosexuals.
all
And
these high
so
school
all this talk about harm principle, how come it doesn't apply to
regardless of
them?
whether or not they're gay.
Why doesn't
Yeah, I
the
agree.
harm?
I'm not-
why
I'm not
doesn't
pro-
the harm principle that atheists and agnostics love? Why don't it apply to the gays?
You know, 50%
I-
of homosexual men have done or are currently doing methamphetamine.
They love math.
A big fucking population, man.
Hey, look, nobody's defending their behavior.
But
Are they
a
doing it
second ago,
because they're
because
gay?
here's my
Or
thing
they
though.
do the actions and churn gay.
Why does the harm principle never reach out and say we need to stop homosexuality? Because if it was up to harm and society seeing what scientifically proves harm, why don't they stop homosexuality?
I don't know, man. That's a good
They
point.
probably say it correlates with harm. It doesn't cause harm.
You said what?
Wait,
now?
Elijah, are you pro? Are you pro homosexual, Elijah?
No, of course not.
Okay.
I'm just responding to what I think
What,
about.
what about pro? What about pro homosexual for the goyim?
No.
Okay.
I think whatever
I
it is,
I
the
can
group
appreciate that. I can appreciate.
whatever it is, the group that
it's
you
also,
can identify that's got the higher rate of harm.
forbidden. It's also forbidden for non-Jews in Judaism.
Good.
Okay.
Whatever group has the higher rate of harm, identify what's causing that harm, and then try to tackle it from that standpoint.
Being gay.
Like,
all right.
In other words, okay, so like, let's just say like black people don't have these bad statistics just because they're black. So, all right, then you're saying let's eliminate all the blacks in order to do that, because that's what you're saying.
Nobody's eliminating anything. I would do like for the gays. I would do what Russia does and just stop doing propaganda of homosexuality.
That's 100% right. Because the propaganda, this DEI stuff in the schools, it makes it more acceptable where you got 1/3 of the population claiming to be some type of letter in the LGBTQ. That's nonsense. That's propaganda.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you on that. There might be some people like think it's cool to be gay, but there's also people who just are gay.
It's a few.
What do you mean
but it ain't
are
that
gay?
much.
I mean, like you're
what do you
born
mean
that
by
way.
that? No, can you show me the gay gene?
Exactly.
Can you show me the fucking moon cycle that fucking gives you gayness? Like, what are you talking about?
There's some evidence of a resting rate of homosexuality across societies. The problem is that you don't need to encourage it. Like it's just unnecessary.
It is unnecessary. It's super unnecessary.
And if there was a gay gene, wouldn't it have died out because they can't reproduce anyway?
Maybe
No, I
not.
mean you should
Maybe
read
we select.
So
maybe
wouldn't
we're
it be a
selecting
bi
a
gene
group.
because they're sexually aroused enough to have sex with females to have babies, right?
I think it's
No, there's
most
serious
maybe not. It
either
depends on
like
how you believe selection works.
help
I think
the survival of the population of the species.
it's
It
most
depends how you
definitely an
believe selection works.
environmental.
If you
Go ahead.
sorry, if you believe that selection works on the lineage level, then it would make sense that there might be a gay gene, or at least you could come up with explanations for it. Like it's survived, it's evolved for the survival of the group rather than the survival of the person, for instance.
I think it definitely comes from a mix of like pornography, parasitical / chemical
And child
things,
abuse.
and like environment. Yeah, and environment. That would be like child abuse. Yeah.
Yep.
Nah.
And I say, nah. Okay, where does it come from? They fucking spawn.
People are literally born gay.
Can you show me any evidence of that?
Sure.
Okay. You
How
use
many
not
animal
evidence.
species? How many animal species would it have to be prevalent in, or would it have to exist in before it would be evidence?
But I think that would be appeal to sort of nature, because what we're saying is, I mean,
I agree. I'm not saying that would be evidence.
That they just fuck everything, right? They don't really care.
I agree, and lions will also eat their cubs. I'm not saying it's a good thing because of that. I'm just saying that it might exist naturally because of that. It might be evidence that exists in nature. I'm not saying that makes it
like
good.
a creationist or something? What are you talking about?
Me?
Yeah, or like
I'm not
design,
creationist.
intelligent design.
That's not generally what creationism means, but I do think the Earth was
I
intelligent.
know, or intelligent design.
Oh, I mean, I do think the universe was intelligently designed by a god, because I'm religious.
That's about where me and him would agree at. That you're the Jewish guy, right?
You're
Yeah.
a Jewish guy.
I'm sure we agree on far more than that. I mean, I for example, I'm in the minority, or maybe in the minority of Jews. I'm not so sure, but I hold that Christianity is a permitted religion for non-Jews.
Yeah, but they also hate Jesus Christ.
Or
That's where I disagree with them.
Thank you for bestowing the Noahide laws on us. we bow down to you. Thank you so much.
I mean, I don't hate Jesus. I just don't really have an opinion on him. I don't think that he's God.
Well, I think the
I'm
Old
not
Testament, the Old
obligated to believe
Testament
anything
does
about him.
prove that Jesus Christ is the Messiah, and that's where they disagree.
Okay, yeah, we disagree on that. I don't think it's the Messiah.
Good night.
I mean, if you read Isaiah 9:6-7, you'll see Jesus Christ is clearly mentioned. Is clearly in the Old Testament.
Well, who's
I don't think that the most viable interpretation of Isaiah 9:6 is that it's referring to Jesus.
Well, do you want to read
well, like,
your
who's the person that Moses? Who's the person that like Moses?
So I'll read my interpretation of Isaiah 9:6 if it would be helpful.
Yeah, it's Isaiah 9:6-7. Read that for me. Just read it out loud. I'll listen to you.
Sure, but do you want my parashot? Do you want my like explanation of the verse also?
Well,
Like,
yeah,
probably read it
after
differently.
if you read it out loud and then just explain it.
Yeah, sure. Ki yeled yulad lanu, that there will be a child born to us. Ben nitan lanu, that a son will be given to us. Vatechi hamisra al shechmo, that the government will rest upon his shoulder. Vayikra shemo Pele Yoetz, that he will be called a wondrous counselor, El Gibor, and a mighty chief. Avi Ad, an eternal father, Sar Shalom, and a minister of peace. So presumably the contention is on Kel Gibor, when the thing that you're reading as Holy God.
Yep.
So the first reason I don't think that it's referring to ontological categories is because it says Vayikra Shemoy. It says his name will be called.
Okay.
And if it's his name, like it could just as easily say the who, and he is Pele Yoetz Kel Gibor Aviad Sar Shalom. The fact that it doesn't say he is suggests that it's describing like some non-ontological criteria, some non-ontological category about the person. The next thing is that we have two references in Scripture previously, or in other areas of Scripture, in Isaiah later, a chapter later, and also in Ezekiel, where the term Kel Gibor is used. One of them is referring to God, and one of them is referring to tribal chiefs. So it's not clear that the only interpretation of this phrase Kel Gibor is referring to God. And if we're saying his name will be called Mighty God, then this fits perfectly the Jewish interpretation, because what does Hezekiah mean? Hezekiah means holy, mighty God. It means like it's exactly the same meaning. So I just don't think that.
Okay. So if that's the case, then why in other parts of Isaiah does it say, therefore, the Lord himself will give you a sign, behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son. And then in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, it talks about a virgin bearing a son. Who else could that be talking about in Isaiah 7:14?
So we're reading the verse differently because you're reading the Septuagint and I'm reading the Hebrew. And I understand that you don't hold that my Hebrew is authoritative.
Correct.
I'm not asking you to. Don't get me wrong.
I get you. Yeah.
But yeah. I'm just to clarify, I'm not trying to change your opinion. Like, I'm okay with you being Christian because I think that Christians have
and I appreciate you
Christians have a place in the world.
Even knowing the Hebrew, I think is cool. I think that's good. So if you read that, but I wanted to hear what's your position on Isaiah, because I look at Scripture in light of Scripture. So we see one verse and it talks about God being with us, and then we see another verse from the same book, Isaiah, and it talks about him being born of a virgin. Looking at those two in Scripture, in light of Scripture, how can you not? I'm wondering, how can you not see that? So Isaiah 7:14, what do you think about that?
Sure. The way that I'm reading Isaiah 7:14 is it says, Lachen yiten Hashem hu, therefore the Lord will give to us, or lachem to them, to you, ot a sign. Hine ha'alma, the behold the young woman, hara v'yuledet ben, and she will give birth to a son. V'karat shemo Immanuel, and he will be called God is with us. But I'm not reading the word alma in Hebrew. Doesn't necessarily mean a virgin. There is a word, if it wanted to say virgin, there is a word in Hebrew, basula, batula, that means specifically a virgin. But it's using the word alma. I understand the Septuagint translates it parnikos, which is more directly virgin. But it's using the word alma to indicate it's a young woman, regardless of whether or not she's
Okay.
she's
Now
a virgin.
then,
Now,
hey, wait, hold on. So we're reading from the Masoretic text, though, right?
Yeah,
Because you're
for
using
sure.
the Hebrew.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
not using the Septuagint.
The big, yeah. So, Jack, do you know what the Septuagint is?
go ahead, explain it to me
Are you
again,
asking me?
man.
Yeah. So the Septuagint is actually the text that of the Old Testament translated into into English, into Greek, which happened 200 120 years before Christ was born, right?
Mm-hmm.
The big
maybe.
thing at the time, the apostles and Christ were using the Septuagint. They were not using Hebrew translated texts. There's almost no Hebrew translated texts like alive, like fully in contact.
Oh,
Like I
okay.
think the most is maybe like the Dead Sea Scrolls, but most of that I think is in Aramaic.
Okay.
If maybe
So what you're saying is
maybe
this
Dead Sea,
they
so,
Dead
but
Sea Scrolls is-
the Septuagint is what the church used, what the Orthodox Church, my church, still uses to this day, and has used. The West had really adopted the Masoretic, like the Catholics started doing stuff with it in the
okay.
year 800. So like,
No,
there's a
the
huge, there's a lot of
Catholic,
differences.
So would you say in that if
I mean-
you use the closest to the original text, would it mean virgin or would it mean something else in Isaiah
Virgin. It
7?
would
No,
mean
it's-
virgin, and this is how the church fathers interpreted it. This is how the reason why it is like I really stress the Septuagint is
Mhm.
because when you read the New Testament, if you replace the Old Testament with the Masoretic, all of Jesus's sayings and all the things that he's like talking about, like there's a ton of stuff that goes back to the Old Testament, right? If you switch in the Masoretic text, it sort of gets lost. A lot of it gets
okay.
lost.
So it's
just to
almost
be-
like they
just to be
wanted
clear,
to take
I
away the
just-
deity of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the
So
Masoretic text is coming from the Jewish
just to be
tradition.
clear, I believe.
I want
So
to
just
hear
to be
what
clear,
my
I believe
I
in
want to
Mother-
hear what my Hebrew friend has to say. He's a cool guy, so let me hear him. What do you have to say to explain that?
I mean, I believe I can defend the Masoretic text, but I don't really feel like I have to, because if we're talking in Greek, firstly, it's not exactly clear when Isaiah was translated into the Septuagint, because the Septuagint pre-Jesus seems to consist mostly of the first 5 books of Moses. It's not clear when the rest of Tanakh was translated in the Septuagint, the rest of the Old Testament was translated in
It
the
was all
Septuagint.
translated in one thing before the Egyptian king sent there by Jewish scholars, and that's how they got the rest of the text, and how they confirmed the text is the text within the Alexandria library in early Christianity, of course, before it burned down. But
if you're going to hold, yeah, but if you're going to hold of the 70 Jewish elders, then you're only holding of Tanakh. Then you're only holding of the Torah. Like what you're learning from there is a Gemara in the Talmud in Megillah that says that 70 Jewish elders went into were translated, were told by the Romans to translate a copy of the Old Testament of the Torah into Greek, and they all miraculously came out with the same translation. That's called the Septuagint.
no, that's according to church that's according to church tradition as well.
So let me ask you this, and this is
Sure,
Elijah,
but
correct?
that translation that they just one second.
Okay.
The other thing is to say is I'm perfectly happy to use the Aquilas Greek, which is the rabbinically accepted Greek that came like almost identical in terms of time period with the Septuagint.
Now let me
and
ask
the
you.
Aquilas Greek uses the word for young woman in Isaiah 7.
But let me
again,
ask you this
a Jewish
now.
text not accepted, but by
Let me
my
ask
church.
you this,
I
Elijah.
agree that you don't accept rabbinic text.
Is if you were to
Yeah.
find right that the word virgin was the more correct translation, would that lead you to believe that Jesus Christ was talked about in the Old Testament? If that word did mean virgin, and we can prove that.
I mean, it's maybe you could convince me that there. I mean, I'm not so convinced that Isaiah 7:14 is a prophecy about the Messiah. But if you could convince me that it's prophecy about the Messiah, then you could convince me of the necessity for a virgin birth of the Messiah. I'm not sure it'd get me to the idea that the Messiah is Jesus.
That's the whole thing in
But
question, though, right? Because if it was to be talking about a virgin, the only person in history that was born with these parameters that's talked about in Isaiah would have to be talking about Jesus Christ, correct?
most directly, though, it's not talking about Jesus. Most directly, it's talking about the son that will be born as a sign to King Ahaz. So it's talking in the direct context of Isaiah most directly. What the Christian is doing when he's reading it as being a prophecy of referring to Jesus is he's doing. You know what medrash is?
No, but go ahead.
So in the Jewish tradition, there's something called medrash, and medrash is like there's a problem in the verse, and so in order to solve the problem, one of the rabbis come along and they give you a potential solution to the problem that this difficulty in the verse is actually pointing you towards this other thing. And so what the Christian is doing is a form of medrash on this verse. He's saying there's a difficulty in the verse. The fact that the verse says virgin, parnikos is the word in the Septuagint.
Okay.
And so there's a difficulty in the verse, and therefore it's pointing you towards this other thing, which is that the Messiah will be born of a virgin. But the direct, simple understanding of the verse is that it's referring to a child that will be born as a sign to Achaz.
Well, let me respond a little bit, because here's my problem with that, is that it's saying a lot more than that in our translation, where me and the other guy, Mr. Frank, would agree, is that it's not only saying that he's born of a virgin, but it's saying that he would be called Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace, and these things were referred to
then
Jesus
you're reading
Christ.
about a different person.
Well,
then you're reading about a different person.
Well, we would be arguing that it's talking about Jesus Christ.
No, I hear what you're saying, but you're also doing medrash on that first, right? Because the simple understanding of 7:14 is it's a child that's going to be born as a sign to who? Well, a sign to King Ahaz. So it'd be difficult to understand just on the I'm not negating your interpretation. I'm not saying you can't interpret it this way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, you're reading that there are two different levels of understanding of the verse. One level of understanding is what's happening at the time, and that's that there's going to be a sign born to Ahaz, King Ahaz, who was an evil king, and it will be a sign born to you of a child who will be called God is with you, right? Or a child whose name will be something like Emmanuel. This way, the famous Christian, the famous gospel song, "Oh come, Emmanuel."
Right. So I guess it'll become a very boring debate, because what's going to happen is it's just a matter of your interpretation versus mine, and which is more accurate. You get what I'm saying?
Sure, that's what I think the debate is which is the most viable interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not. The reason that I'm sort of interested in having this conversation in a nice way is because I don't really want to convince you. I want you to be a Christian and go to church and believe Christian things, because I don't as Jews go, at least I'm very pro.
And I don't understand that you've been respectful. I don't think you have hate in your heart or anything like that. A lot of people have been saying a lot of evil things about the Jewish people lately. I'm not one of those people. But I will say this: my point is not necessarily just to convince you just to win an argument, but it's more to say there is a Messiah. He has been born. The prophecies have been fulfilled. We believe that, and I think that would answer a lot of the problems that the Jewish people and the whole world has.
Well, I mean, so long as you're coming to convince me with a book and not a sword, I can't say I particularly am opposed to it.
Well, no, I'm not Muslim.
And regarding agreed. I'm currently living in Israel. I can tell you, agreed.
Yeah. Listen, and I'll say this too. But this is where we can agree too. Is a lot of Christians have this ideology that we are both Muslims and Christians, or need to team up against Jewish people. I would say that's a stupid argument, because honestly, anybody who is an enemy of Jesus Christ is going to be an enemy of Christianity, and Muslims overall have definitely killed more of us as Christians than any other group of people. So we can agree on that.
Well,
they're in the
I'll give you another olive branch, which is that I'm pro-Christian when it comes to the Crusades also.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you study history, you would have to be, because the Christians were pretty much doing what they had to do, in my opinion. But in that time period. But
well, I also I'll
I don't
also
know,
say that
man. You guys better team up with Muslims. You know.
You think
I
so?
don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen.
What do you think? Why you say
No,
that,
not
Frank?
us. You guys.
you mean us.
There is a old Russian proverb within Russia that it goes, whenever a Jew enters, a Mohammedan follows, or a Muslim.
I think I've heard that
Yeah.
before. I think I've heard that before. My thing is this, man. I am for convincing anybody to come to Christ. And so one of the things I'm sure you know more of me as a Jewish person studying these texts because you guys have to study them. What do you think of the Talmud and what it says about Jesus?
I actually don't think the Talmud mentions Jesus, but I understand that this is a hotly debated issue.
I mean, it does.
I know that there are quotes flying about. So you're gonna give me a verse. You're gonna give me a verse in Gittin 57.
I've read them. I've read them. And so where are they coming from?
Yeah.
Man?
So I'll like the common one is the one where it says supposedly Jesus is burning an excrement.
I've heard that.
That's the one you're thinking of.
That's one. It's one of many, though.
So there are a few reasons to think this isn't Jesus. One, if you're believing that it's talking poorly about Jesus, interestingly, the conclusion of this piece in the Talmud is that Jesus blesses the Jews. If you believe it's Jesus, which means that it's actually not talking poorly about him and is saying that he's still a part of the Jewish people.
I don't
but
know.
beyond
That's kind
that,
of a stretch, though. That's kind of a stretch because you would have to honestly
beyond that, though,
say.
I don't.
Go ahead. You can finish.
Yep. Beyond that, the name that's used, Yeshu, it doesn't mean Jesus. Like, my view is it's Rosh Tevot, which means an acronym. There's a phrase in Hebrew that's used for evil people. After you say their name, you say Yamach Shema v'zichrono, which means
Goyim?
like no evil people.
I'm just messing with you, man. That's been a popular phrase.
I mean, it is pretty. It's kind of a huge coincidence that they just used something.
Yeah.
Hey, this guy's burning an excrement, and his name is Yeshua.
Yeah.
Like,
and
don't they also call him? Don't they also call him the son? The son of a Roman soldier and a prostitute.
So it doesn't.
It
So
says
for one,
that
it doesn't say it doesn't say Yeshua. It says Yeshu. It doesn't have the ayin at the end, which is actually a different word.
Well, here, let me ask you this because go ahead. You can finish.
So there are different Yeshus throughout the Talmud. There are 21 different people that are called Yeshu, and this leads me to believe it's not a name. This leads me to believe that it stands for something, and what it stands for is Yimach Shema v'zichrono, which means may his memory be erased. I.e., it's being used as a stand-in for names that the editors of the Talmud didn't want to write down because they didn't want to preserve the names, and therefore it doesn't.
It just so happens that almost the entire Jewish community also thinks that this is Jesus. Are you just saying you personally don't think this is Jesus?
It's very hotly debated in the Jewish community. It's not so simple.
What I will say is this: wouldn't Jesus, though, according to the Judaism,
the Vilna Gaon held.
According to Judaism, wouldn't Jesus still be a liar? He claimed himself to be the Son of God.
We don't. You only believe that he claimed to be the Son of God if you already pre-existent, if you prior to the discussion accept the historicity of the Gospels.
No,
because Jews don't accept the historicity. Because Jews don't accept the historicity of the Gospels or the New Testament, therefore we're not bound to the belief that he claimed himself to be the Son of God.
But we do.
You're not bound to
we
history,
do. So when it comes to
no,
Christianity,
we don't think the Gospels are
so
historical
is our
facts.
version of Jesus? Is Jesus a liar?
Right. That's what I'm about to ask.
Well, you mean if the Gospels are true, is Jesus claiming to be God?
If Christians, the follower of Christ, if we say what he said, right? Because this is what we're saying is that Christianity, Christ. I don't know how you would just not accept something that's sort of weird. Hey, yeah, we just don't accept these. We don't accept Buddha. We don't accept anything that he said. We think Buddha's a real person. He said things. Right, but we disagree with the religion.
I still want to get back to the first question. He asked a question that was really good.
Obviously, Jews don't. obviously Jews don't accept the Gospels. Otherwise, we'd be Christian.
Right, but according to
So-
Christianity, do you
I-
guys think that if we believe the verses as we read them in Christianity, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, if we believe what it says there, is Jesus a liar?
So if
I'm not
Jesus
saying you have to accept the Gospels. I'm saying that's what happened. That's the things that he said in that.
But I want to
if
hear
Jesus,
his answer to that
if Jesus,
question, though.
so if Jesus said the things that the Gospels claims that he said, with the meaning that the Gospels that the Gospel writers clearly attached to what they're quoting him as saying, then he would be severely mistaken according to Judaism and
But
probably a heretic.
it would be more than severely mistaken because he said things that would be blasphemous to for Jewish people, like saying before Abraham was, I am. That was blasphemous, so much so that the Jews at that time wanted to stone him for that. So if he said those things, wouldn't he be a
I'm
liar?
not sure that's an ontological statement. I'm not sure that's an ontological statement because Jesus also says when he comes off the water, when he's finished walking on the water in Mark 14, he says, "Fear not, for it is." So just he says, "Fear not, for it is me." And the verse "it is me" is also the same egoim that's translated as before Abraham was, I am.
No,
Clearly he's claiming
I
something.
think you're being a little disingenuous here because the Jewish people at that
So-
time, when it's written, it says they wanted to stone him for blasphemy. So you can't just say
is that what-
they assumed he was saying
I
it.
mean, the Jews.
One
I mean,
sec, is that what
yeah,
it says
I
in John
mean-
8? Is that what it says in John 8?
Lord, let's look at it. Let's read what they wanted to stone him. Why did they want to stone him after that?
I don't know that they want to stone him immediately after that. I don't know that that's what's.
Here. Let's find it.
I don't know. Well, it's John 8:58. It's the last verse. So I'll just.
Hold on, I'm pulling it up.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't say immediately after that anything.
Hold on.
Lord,
so-
bring the gospel.
It says.
Well, I mean, Jews
um,
ultimately did
Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up.
convict and get Christ crucified. I mean, there's that as well.
I mean, it depends which gospel you go by, but yeah.
No,
as
all
in-
of them say that.
I'm trying to pull it up, but it's my computer's
So it's the case that in the trial of Luke, in the trial
John
of
8:58 through 59. Jesus said to them, "Truly, truly, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I
see
am."
59,
So they
I see
picked up
59.
so they picked up stones to throw at him, but Jesus hid himself and went out to the temple. So if the Jews at that time believed he was saying something that was worthy of death, how can the Jews at this time be okay with him?
That he was blessed and all this stuff. I think
So-
that
so the-
this is sort of a misreading of the Talmud, maybe on your part.
Frank,
It's a huge book.
I wanted to hear what he said, Frank, because
So just to be clear, just to be clear, when it comes to the gospels, I will defer to you guys. In the even if, by the way, I'm still not convinced he's clearly claiming to be something like an incredible status of prophet. This is clearly some high Christology, but it's not clear to me that this is a claim to be God. But even if I grant that on the for the sake of the conversation, I'm very, very confident I know the Talmud better than you guys. and I don't
for
mean
us
that
that
like
is
it's
because
my
he does claim. Here, let me explain. In Christian theology, he claims to be the Son of God, right? Within the temple when they crucify him, right? Okay. So does
says
the
the Son
Son have
is
the
sitting at the
same
right hand
nature
next
as
to
the
the Father.
Father? The Son has the same nature as the Father. So the Son has the divine nature.
I mean, in Christian theology, yes, but obviously I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
But even
Well,
so,
so
Frank,
for us, yeah, he would be saying he's God.
even so, Frank,
I
you got
agree.
to
I agree.
remember,
I'm not
even
arguing
in
that.
John, there's more where John 10:30 through 33, I and the Father at one was said by Jesus, and the Jews picked up stones to kill him. So you got all these verses of
Dude, you
Jesus.
can go to every chapter in John, man.
Yeah, every
I
single
know,
one.
I know, but
In fact, John is specific in that way because Jesus,
I know
every
that
single
in Jo-
chapter, he says that.
I know, but Jesus also prays that everybody should be like he is to the Father. In other words, if he is praying that everybody should be like,
But you
yeah,
kinda-
if he is to the Father as one, then he's praying that everybody else should be God, which is
Yes,
kind of a
but that's
weird prayer.
then why would they pick up stones to kill him then?
Well, it's possible to blaspheme in a way that is like makes you what's the word chayev in Hebrew?
Yeah, I mean,
Which
people
makes
with
you
human
liable.
nature, they should pray to God. Yeah.
So it makes
I
you.
want to hear what
no,
way that
once-
is.
it doesn't- you can be liable for stoning, for example, without claiming to be God. For example, Stephen in Acts 26.
What? And you
Was it
saying
Acts
how does
16?
that relate to what Jesus just said when he said, "I and the Father are one"? How does that relate to that?
My response to the verse in John 17 is that I don't think it's likely that if I accept the historicity of that statement, which I don't accept the historicity of the Gospels, obviously, because I'm Jewish. If I accept the historicity of that statement, then I don't think because of the verse, because of what it says in John 17, 10, 11, that he means that in the sense of they're one in
Well, here, I have one for you.
even though they're different in hypostasis. Because
I have
if
one.
he means it that,
Okay.
if in John 17:5, I assume that's what you're referring to.
Well, I was talking about John 10, John 10:30 through 33. And they picked up, and the reason why I picked this verse specifically is because it'd be different if he was saying something that was vague, but he said something that offended them so much that they wanted to kill him. And as you know, Jewish law, because you know the Old Testament, they would not just kill you for any old thing. They weren't violent people, right?
I mean, you can be.
No.
I forget that you can be liable for the death penalty for stoning for far less than claiming to be God.
You can, but what I'm saying is they didn't just kill you for any old thing. Jesus said something that made them want to kill him.
Well, if you believe that the gospel accounts, clearly the people that Jesus was preaching to, who were on the whole Jews, thought he was liable for blasphemy.
What about John 5? Do you know about John 5 when he's in the temple and he's telling him?
You talk about John 5:17 through 18?
Where he's talking about before they're saying you met Abraham, that can't be, you're so young, and he says before Abraham was, I am.
Oh, we talked about
and he's
that.
talking about
That's
he's
John 8,
talking
yeah.
about the about him to Abraham and having a meal with Abraham. And second question to you, I mean, even Moses, Abraham, all these people, they see something physically they see physically something when they're meeting with God. They're doing something with God, right? So what are those things?
I don't think
What is
they.
that
I don't think they do. I think that's just anthropomorphization.
So Moses didn't see the back of God's face.
I read that verse like the Radak.
So you read that verse and you don't take that literally, or what?
Yeah, no, I do. There are large sections of the Torah that I don't take literally because they're not possible to take literally.
So I mean,
for example,
where are you getting your interpretation from? Because I mean, the Orthodox Jews, I know they will say that this is something of God.
Basically, no. It's Rambam. It's like the Yud Gimel Ikarim, right? Which were written by Yosef Albo, which are basic tenets of Jewish philosophy, and one of them is that you believe that God doesn't have a body.
Yeah. So when they say that he is a body, what is that?
When who says? You mean when the Torah says it?
When Moses says that he saw something.
When Moses says that he saw the back of God, Moses asked to see the way. So I'll just tell you how I learned that whole passage. Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, this is different. That's a different chapter that you're talking about. And then
No,
God says he's the invisible God, right?
No, I'm not. No, I'm saying that section where like Moses asks to see to see God, and to me that's a weird question because God doesn't have a body in my view. So what's Moses actually asking according to me? Moses is asking to see the logic of God in the world.
That's kind of a reach. You gotta admit that's a reach, man. Because he didn't see the logic of. We can all see the logic of a God, but Moses' countenance was so bright that he came down and the people.
Does God enter into time and space? How is he talking? How is he talking to like Moses through the burning bush? Like, how is he doing the
Um,
tornado? Like, how is he doing like sort of all of these things?
Because angels speak on his behalf.
But
So when the burning bush is talking, but then he's still having to interact physically with something, which would be the angels. So how does that work?
No, angels are spiritual.
I understand. So angels can go and they can physically do something with God.
God
Spiritually
empowers
do
through
something
his
with God.
God empowers through desire angels to talk through to like.
So he's still
speak
having
or
to
enter the
interact
physical world.
with the angels. He's still having to interact with time and space then.
I mean,
So it's
we
still
both
the
believe that
same
God
thing,
interacts.
dude. You're just
we
moving
both
it. You're
believe
just
that God.
kicking the can down the road.
No, because we both believe that God interacts with the world.
I guess my main problem though
Well,
is
how?
if,
But
is
how
the,
does? Yeah, how? No, but we have the essence energy distinction within Orthodoxy, right? That sort of solves this problem. Within Judaism, do you have anything like that? Is it just absolute divine simplicity?
Yes, but the way that this isn't a problem.
Okay, so
this
how
isn't a
does he
problem in
interact with the
Judaism,
world
like,
if he's outside of
what-
time and space?
just please through his will.
That's still interacting within time and space. So how does that work?
No, as in God wills something to be and then it happens.
Yeah, so that's what? Interacting with time and space?
Why can't God interact with time and space so long as he stays outside of it?
How is he interacting with time and space if he's outside of it?
I'm not in my phone. I'm currently
Do you
interacting
not know,
with my
like,
phone.
do you know, like, the classical problem with, like, absolute divine simplicity? And,
I
like,
don't think
why there's,
transcendence
like, an energy essence distinction?
I don't think that transcendence and immanence is a real problem.
I think we kind of getting off a little bit because we were talking about the divinity of Christ, and I think one of your craziest claims that you said was that you didn't believe that Jesus Christ was claiming to be God himself. And if we look at these verses, I haven't
No,
really.
I didn't say I don't believe that he's claiming to be God. I think clearly, according to the gospel writers, particularly John, it's clear that they were of the opinion that, like, it's more clear in John, but I think it's also true of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, that they believed that he was. So, and I trust them more than my own reading of the text.
Right.
Just
So
that
if that's the case,
all I'm saying is that I don't think there's a statement he says that I can't come up with a at least not implausible interpretation that he's not claiming to be God. But I think it's very
anybody
likely
can
if the
come up with
Gospels
an
are correct.
interpretation to make you say something that you did not mean or you didn't say. My problem is like when it comes to Christianity. Well, when it comes to your interpretation of Christianity, I don't understand how, from a Judaism perspective, how you would not be able to say that Jesus Christ is an evil liar. Wouldn't he be an evil liar if his followers and he himself are saying these things? Go ahead.
So how do you know what Christ? So how do you know what Christ did?
I don't.
Oh, so how is he blessing people in the Talmud?
I don't think he is. What do you want about?
You just said that he was blessing people within the Talmud, and he was a blessing to the Jewish people. How do you know anything that he did?
No, I said if you
you
believe
did. You did say that.
I said if you believe that that's referring to him, then that's what he would be doing. But I don't, so I'm not bound by this problem.
But even if but hold on, this is not making sense. So if we as Christians believe what is talked about in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and Acts, then you believe that if we believe that, and just take our grant us this, right? That we believe that according to our beliefs. According to our beliefs, would Jesus be evil? From your perspective?
No.
Why not if he's a liar? He says he's the Messiah.
You mean if I believe that he said the things that he's
if we according to Christianity, if what he said according to our books and our theology was true, that he said those things about himself, would he be a liar to Judaism?
So I already answered this question. I said that I believe that he would be at least mistaken if he did it by accident, and then if he did it on purpose, he would be a heretic.
Okay, so he would be a heretic, and can a heretic go to heaven?
Not necessarily. He might just be mistaken. But like, if he knew that he
How
wasn't
would you be
God,
mistaken if you're God?
Yeah,
if,
like
no, but
I'm saying if he
if he
said
knew
those
that,
things.
so I'm saying if he said those things and genuinely thought he was God, then he would be mistaken.
Okay, so
If he said those things and didn't, but if he said those things and didn't think he was God,
Those
i.e.,
Jewish
knew that he wasn't, then he would be a blasphemer. Like, he would be a heretic.
Okay, so and if he was a blasphemer and a heretic, would he be evil?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so then Jesus, according to the Bible, is evil.
No,
Okay.
because there's another world in which he doesn't know he's wrong, in which case he's just mistaken, and
You
that's not
can do
called.
plenty of wrong things without knowing they're wrong. You can kill somebody and think you're
Yeah,
doing self-defense and still be wrong.
But I wouldn't call that evil.
I would. You can do evil with
Okay,
a
I
lack of
wouldn't.
knowledge.
Okay,
You can convince yourself that something is
I
good
agree,
and
but
it's
I
not.
agree, but I agree, but you're asking me about a person, and like, if I do evil with a lack of knowledge, it makes the action that I'm doing evil, but it doesn't make me an evil person. And in the same way, if he was doing evil with a lack of knowledge, it would make the action evil, but it wouldn't make him evil.
It seems like you kind of scared to say that according to Judaism, Jesus is evil, and I think clearly it would have to be that because it's only one way
No,
or
I
the
don't.
other. You can only have
I
it
don't
one
think it would
way.
have to be that. I mean, I'm not scared to say that many rabbis come to that conclusion. I'm just saying that that's like, I don't think it has to be that way.
Oh, it has to be because if I'm telling you right now, Muhammad, in my opinion, is evil. He's evil because he's spreading a lie. And
I think
I would say the same
I think
thing.
Muhammad is evil, but I think Muhammad is evil because of the things that he did. I.e., I think that he thought he was possessed by a demon because that's what
Yeah.
the Hadiths say,
I would agree with you on
and
that.
I think he acted on that basis. So,
But it's almost like the allegiance is a Judaism. We have to put the line of sand, and it always comes down to Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, according to our doctrine and our text, claimed that he was God. If there is only one God, then Jews believe, and to this day, that blaspheming is a very terrible sin. You can't just not, I made these statements by mistake. You can't say you God and not be. You gotta acknowledge that. And if Jesus said that, then
there's a difference in terms of Jewish law as to whether or not you blasphemed by accident or on purpose in terms of the punishment.
Okay,
If you
well,
blasphemed
he
on
definitely
purpose,
did it on
then
purpose.
I'm not convinced he did.
Well, they picked
Maybe
up
he was.
stones.
Maybe he.
Do you think that they knew more than you did, the Jews back then?
Huh?
The Pharisees, the Sadducees, the leaders of that day, did they know more than you?
Probably, although I'm not convinced, like, entirely that they would have understood what he was doing. There were lots of people that were claiming to be the Messiah around that period.
Well, they picked up stones to stone him. They at least know as much as you do, because they were closer to the times it was written.
I mean, possibly, but I mean, let's grant that they did. They picked up stones to stone him. That's not something that's like. Firstly, we're not talking about quote. When you say the Pharisees picked up stones, you're not talking about people in the Jewish legal system in Rome, in Jerusalem. You're talking in the Roman Empire. You're talking about like common Jews who follow rabbinic law.
Well, I disagree because even the people who put him to death were the Jewish leaders of that day. It's clearly written. That's what we believe.
It's not so clearly written. I mean, for starters, even though Jesus was found guilty at the Sanhedrin trial in Luke 6, and also I believe John 12, the punishment was clearly administered by Roman officials.
Well,
otherwise he would
no,
have.
it was the Jews partitioned the Romans to do it, but they could not do it without them. In fact, when they asked for who to be released, they asked for Barabbas to be released. They had a say.
Sure they asked, sure they asked for Barbarus, but to say that you didn't choose to exempt somebody from punishment isn't to say that you're the one who's punishing him.
And then,
Like,
according to
if
our
to-
doctrines,
if-
he was labeled the king of the Jews. They did that to mock him. This is not even debatable, man. The Jewish people, the Jewish
okay,
leaders at the time.
if a court were to sentence you and what's the other person's name, the Cooper troop in the court to prison time, and I had the ability to exempt one of you, to give one of you a what's the English word? An exemption.
Pardon,
I guess
I
I'll just
guess.
use a pardon. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. And I choose to give it to the other guy in the call and not to you. That wouldn't be me punishing you. When you say that they chose to save Barbarus, they did, of course, if you believe the New Testament account. But that's not to say they were the ones punishing.
Well,
If
no,
if the Sanhedrin, firstly, if the Sanhedrin were the one punishing, then he would have been stoned. He wouldn't have been crucified.
Well, they
Crucifixion
tried to
isn't a
do that.
punishment.
We just
in Jewish
read. We
tradition.
just read in John.
There
10,
were
10
yeah.
We read in John 10:10
But
that they
those-
did pick up stones
The
to stone
Jewish,
him, but
the
he got
Jewish,
away.
the Jewish courts didn't do that.
But here's the thing, though. They were cool with it because they even said when Jesus came before them and he said, destroy this temple 3 days, I will rise again. That was in front of them as well. And they came and said that they tried to bring up the accusation that he said he was going to destroy the temple. So that was a Jewish thing. The Romans didn't care about the temple. It was the Jews.
I agree. The Jews weren't happy with him, but that's not to say that they were the ones administering the punishment to him.
Do you think they were against it?
It's not clear to me that they were.
Well, see, and this is the problem. I think I'm making a connection here that the Jews of the today still have the same ideology of the Pharisees back then. And just as much as they
course they
hated
do.
Jesus, I think the Jews hate Jesus to this day because he did claim to be God. Now, some Jews are Christians, and I give them that. But then it's a lot of Jewish people who really
I
have a
don't- I
hatred
don't-
for
I-
Jesus Christ. They really do. And I'm
So
not.
there's no basis in Jewish doctrine. Whatever you think about what Jews believe and whatever Jews actually believe, there's no basis in Jewish doctrine to hate Jesus. There's
I'm not
only basis in
saying-
Jewish doctrine to say that. Just please let me finish.
Go ahead.
There's only basis in Jewish doctrine to say that he's neither the Messiah or God, because we believe that the Messiah has yet to come and the God has no physical form. That's not called hatred. There's basis in Jewish doctrine to feel basically nothing towards Jesus personally, which is what I feel. I don't know who he was. I don't know what he said. I don't know what he believed about himself because I don't hold to the historicity of the Gospels, and therefore I don't view them as a reliable account in reporting the events of the
I understand.
of the
I understand
period
that you don't.
before and after the life of Jesus.
I understand that you don't, but that was my whole point in bringing up. According to Christian beliefs, if Christian beliefs had a true account of what Jesus said about himself, you would have to admit that it goes completely against Jewish theology, and it will be blasphemous of Jesus to say what he said. And the reason why I make that distinction is because you have to acknowledge there is a one side and the other. One side says that Jesus is God. The other side says that he is a liar. And if he is a liar, he can't be God. But if what he said is true, he must be God.
I'm not sure I believe. You don't have to say you don't have to say that he's a liar. You don't even have to say that he said anything untrue. You only have to say that if you accept the Gospels prior to the conversation,
Right.
and I don't.
Well,
So
if he said, "I and the
what you
Father are
mean
one."
is, if what you mean to ask me is, if the world were different, would Jesus be a blasphemer according to me? Then yes, if the world were different, Jesus would be a blasphemer according to me. But the world isn't different.
What do you
so
mean
I don't
by
have to
different,
believe that.
though? I don't understand what you're saying.
If the Gospels were true,
Which they are.
yeah, I don't believe they are. So I don't have to believe that Jesus is a blasphemer. Obviously, I don't believe they are. Otherwise, I'd be a Christian.
Do you have
Because
a
I'm a
different?
Jew.
Do you have a different account of something Jesus said that I don't know about?
No, but I don't have to. Like, do you have a different account of something that like Nero said? No, you don't.
I'm
But
not
that doesn't
claiming
mean
that Nero is
you have to
God.
believe everything that.
I don't have any bearing
I'm
what
not
Nero
claiming
said
that
or
Jesus
did.
is God, so I don't have to have.
Right, but I am, and so what I'm saying is that
Yeah,
if
but-
Jesus is who he
Yeah, but
said he is
in
in
the
the
same
Word,
way, in the same way that what Nero, in the same In the same way that what Nero said has no bearing on you, what Jesus said has no bearing on me, because I just think he was a normal person.
Right, but Nero never made these claims that he is God, and he doesn't have a following that went over for 2,000 years saying that he is, where Jesus Christ does based on his own sayings. And so when we go off of what Jesus
So I don't believe there
said,
are actual sayings, particularly in John, I don't believe they're actual sayings of Jesus.
well, I
Many
know
of them.
you don't, but I think
Like
that
many of
when
them.
it comes down to, it's clearly that the Jews of that day absolutely believed that he was saying that because they wanted to kill him. And that was my whole point.
You have to already accept the gospel accounts of what happened at the time in order to believe that. I don't have to accept that the Jews at the time wanted to kill him because I don't believe the gospel.
I get what you're saying, and here's the last thing I'll say, because we had a good conversation, man. Hopefully we can have a conversation in the future, but I will say this: it's not the Jewish people
Yeah,
that
I have no problem with you.
yeah, I don't blame, like many people do, the Jewish people for killing God. I blame my own sins because he died on the cross for all of us. So I don't necessarily put it as, oh, Jewish people killed Jesus. But I do want to point this out, is that if God is true, if what he says in the Gospels is true, then that creates a very big dilemma for every other religion on the planet. If he is not a bad person and he is saying if he made statements that are true, then everybody, Judaism, Hinduism, Muslims, are in grave trouble. You understand that, right?
So if the gospels are true, then everybody should be Christian. That's 100% the case.
Yep. And if Judaism is true, should I be
agree.
Judaism?
And
Should
by the way,
Yeah,
no,
you shouldn't. Okay, so then nothing
I
changes.
mean,
Nothing changes.
Jews,
If that's the case, then nothing changes for me. But if what I believe is true, everything changes for you.
yeah, but I don't believe in Pascal's wager.
Okay, well, it's just a
I mean,
logical
for one,
fact.
if by the way, so two things. If I'm right and like there is the world for me, if Judaism, I believe that Judaism is true, and like the fact that my life, like I go to eternal, like, so I have eternal suffering in the world where Judaism is false, actually can't change my view. The only thing that can change I can't choose what I believe. It's not conscious what I believe.
Okay.
So that's the first thing. And the second thing is in the world where Judaism is true, then there is a big nafkamina for me if I become a Christian, because I forfeit my chelek le'olam haba. I forfeit my share in the world to come.
Right, and I've heard that before. Now, let me ask you this, and this is the last question I ask, because you've been answering things honestly. If Jesus Christ was God, would you worship him? Like, say it was unequivocally, without a shadow of doubt, true. Would you worship him?
If I die and I ascend to the gates of heaven, greeted by St. Peter, to be judged by Jesus, sat on a throne, sat on the right hand of the power, and next to the Father, then I'll worship him.
Okay. Then we'll have future conversations if your ears open to that. But hey, you guys, I got to get going. I appreciate you talking with me, though, man.
No worries.
That was cool. That was fun. Haven't talked to too many Jewish people, but one thing that they can't change is, and I need to study more on the Septuagint and because I had no idea at the beginning that he was using texts that were translated back to be Hebrew from what it sounds like. But one thing I can say is that the word of God cannot be defeated. If you want to talk about Old Testament, New Testament, that's one thing. But when you talk about, let me do this. When you talk about what's true about what Jesus said, you have a dilemma, and it's a reason why Judaism, Mormonism, Muslims, they cannot deny that there's something about Jesus that they just can't outright say he's evil. They can't say it because something in their being knows that something about Jesus, you can't just deny him. But that puts them in a dilemma because either you are going to be on Jesus' side or you're not. So I can't hold you account to what Hebrew says. I can't read Hebrew like that young man can. But I can tell you what Jesus said. I can tell you what it says in John 8, and I can tell you what it says in John 10. And there was no debating that he declared himself to be God. And if he declares himself to be God, then it's something you must do about it. Anybody who want those verses, hit me up. I'll give them to you. John 8, John 10, John 14. We didn't get to go over that, but I had it ready. I had it in the chamber for him. The other thing is, at the beginning of the conversation, I know I went through a lot of name calling, and it may even have seemed that I didn't do that great in that debate at the beginning. But the problem is like, dang, man, now I kind of got a respect for these people who debate 4-on-1 like that, and people jumping in and cutting you off. You're like, dude, can I at least get a word in? So yeah, I apologize if anybody got defended by me calling people gay, even though he sounded gay. I absolutely hate when people are disingenuous. If you're going to have a discussion, let's have a discussion. If you're going to cut me off, then I can cut you off. But when it comes down to straight up like blood sport stuff, I can offend you more quicker than you can defend me. I just want to have an actual fair discussion. That's all I want. I don't want to do this. You cut me off and then your friend cut me off and then your friend called me an idiot. And, okay, y'all want to call names? We can call names. But who has the truth on their side? And part of the thing that was irritating me about the first conversation is they didn't let me get to my overall point. I know I can be somewhat long-winded when it comes to a point, but when you're having a theological discussion like that and you're talking about the basis for morality, or you're talking about what the Bible says about slavery, and they thinking they got to dunk on you. Oh, he said that slavery was permitted. Yeah, the Bible does permit it. Now let me explain why even in the Bible's permission of slavery, that has rules and logic and you can't hurt slaves, in your belief, you can do whatever you want to whoever you want and kill whoever you want. You have no basis for your morality, where mine has a basis. That was my whole point. So you guys, if you like any of that, like, comment, share, subscribe. We're going to be back doing this every Monday.